What's up, honey love? What's up, girl? What's up, little honey love? I see you. What you doing, Red Sonya? What's up, Sonya? Fat Mama Sonya. What's up, Fat Mama Sonya? What's up, Fat Mama Sonya? What's up, Mayday? Lord Mayday. What's up, boy? What's up, Lord Mayday? What's up, my boy Doc? What you say, Doc? What you say, Doc? What you say, Doc? It's my big boy, Doc. What you say? All right. Welcome back to another week, another episode of Game Dog Talk. And we got together another panel for y'all. Salute to everybody in the building. Of course, we have back in the building the legendary schoolboy, Mr. Richard Garcia. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. Yeah, you guys had a good show last week, man. I watched it. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, indeed. Appreciate it. And we have, of course, my brother, Eli Zachary, back in the building. What's up, Eli?
What's going on? Salute everybody. Have another good one this week.
Yes, sir. And my brother, walking down Ram, big stepping in the building. What it do?
You know what the fuck we do and why we done it, how we bring it to niggas who hardly want it. Keep playing, you gonna catch me in your live, you blunted. You feel me?
Yes, indeed. All right.
Yeah, copyright that.
No, I can't. That's do some Jay-Z bars. I was just listening to that shit. You know, getting hyped before the show.
Oh, okay.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, Jigga sue the shit out of me.
Hell, that's free advertising, man. He ain't gonna do shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Smash that like button, y'all. Get the likes all the way up. Appreciate y'all joining us. Let me do a quick roll call. Welsh Kennels Combine. Salute, fam. See you in the building. Salute to you. We got my brother, Dr. Hood, in the building. What's up, family? Salute to my brother, Dr. Hood, in here. Gullery Kennel, salute.
Salute, Dr. Hood, salute.
Jimmy Mack in the building. Dogman RT, salute. Miami Snoopy 305 in the building. Bando for life, what's happening with it? Frank Rizzo. Aladdin Saddam. What's that? Jive Smoke, salute. Martinez Game Dogs in the building. SBO Kennel, salute. Arrowhead Kennels in the building. Let's see here. Hardy Dogs Pennsylvania up in here. Snacks B in the building. Let's see. AJ. Supreme Excellence. Cano Loco Sports. What's happening, bro? Careless Selman. Salute. Let me see. Frank Rizzo said him. Soul Power, a.k.a. Gamed Up Kennel. Salute, fam. 614 Tree. Dan G in the building. Let's see here. Kevin Porter, what's good? CB, Vinny, Rodney Murphy. 704 Troy in the building. Trey Brown. Mr. Anderson. Mr. Thomas Moreland, salute to you, sir. Dead Game Boxing in the building. K-Bo. The brother Live Life Real up in here. Son of Tank. Can't Stop, Won't Stop. What's that? Herm's Teacher, salute. JC.
Hey, that's Hermes, bro. Hermes.
Oh, my bad, fam. Hermes. I said Hermes. Hermes, salute to you, fam. Royal Pet, Family Pet, salute to you, brother.
He's a Greek god.
All right, salute to everybody that's in the building. Hugo, I see you. Terry, salute. Appreciate all y'all, man. Can't read everybody, but thank y'all for being in here.
Where Tay-Tay at? Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah, she'll be here.
Hey, I didn't say release your dog yet, man. That foul you out too, OG.
That's Rams.
That's Rams last week for that same shit.
I'm gonna cut loose early, man. You can foul me.
Hell yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Then you at least sit my dog down.
Okay, so we're gonna start with a few questions from last week that we didn't have time to get to. Question number one from the question from last week: if you were forced to put a dog in keep with no meal, how would you do so? We'll start with you, Eli. Eli, can you hear me? You on mute? All right, Eli on mute. We're gonna start with you, Ram.
Well, shit, like we was talking about last week, when we had Vietnam kennels on there, that wasn't one of, that was the very first conditioning program I ever used, and I didn't have a fucking meal first time trying some shit. And it was a lot of walking and to substitute the meal work, I would do sprints on the bike. So shit, a lot of walking, a lot of sprinting that you could do on the bike, as well as explosive type sprints like fetching, flirt polling, shit that it take a lot just to boom, get a big burst of energy, shit like that to get the heart rate up, and you want to be able to recover on your feet. But there's a lot of conditioning programs out there that don't have a meal in it because everybody don't got no fucking money for a meal. Them shit's expensive, Like if I wasn't disciplined enough to save up for them, I wouldn't have never had none. Shit.
No
But
doubt.
actually too though, you could send OG Richard Garcia motherfucking what was it, $50 for your keep?
60.
Yeah, 60, send him $60. And he got a cold ass keep, I'm telling you. And it don't got a meal in it, you could substitute the work for a meal, but yeah, $60 and you could have the answer to this question.
Sure. Let's go to you, Mr. Garcia. What would
Yeah, like Ram said, I didn't use a mill. I've used just about everything, but uh, I ended up I didn't need a mill because of where I lived, out the country. I mentioned that before. There's hundreds of acres, dirt roads, and agriculture. So, and like Ram said, when you use a bike, you could use a car too, I guess. They have hookups for a car. They hook a bar usually and have them run connected to that bar so they don't actually get hit by the car, And then, Bach said, he ran his behind the vehicle with a long lead, so smoke don't mess with them. But with that bike, you can run sprints, you can hold back. Sometimes I used to lift my feet off the pedals and just let them pull me in the bike, get some strength work in, And you can race with them, The faster you go, the faster they're gonna go. And once they get going, man, they'll get that heart rate up and they'll pull that bike. You ain't gonna keep up with no dog, but you can pretty much, do it for 100 yards or so, before you burn out. Unless you're in real good shape, like some of these people are, or wasn't, smoke too much. But there's a and the flirt pole is good. That gets your heart rate up. Some people do swimming. You could throw a ball back and forth. Maybe you just confined in the city. You have a backyard. You could do it all right there, even without a mill. You could do flirt pole, chase a ball, do some. Some people have a hookup, where they put a harness on the dog and it has that rope. It stretches, expands, and there you go, like a bungee cord. They pull it and it pulls them back like that. You can work a dog just about using anything available or any idea you have, And Ram mentioned my keep, and that's kind of how my keep is set up. It's more pay attention to the dog. What are you trying to do? So when you look at it that way, it doesn't matter what you use. It's how you use it. What's available to you. You make it work. Figure out some way. You could do even spring pole work, like that. Hell, just running around the yard, playing with the dogs. Get them to you could set up your own lure course back there if you wanted to, So I did road work and I did that strength work that I mentioned in my key,
right.
And that was basically it. Because for me, what I learned anyways, in my case, is that the more you do, the more chances you have of screwing something up. So the simpler you keep it, as long as you get what you need done out of the dog, the better, you know. And you're gonna have to change up sometimes. Some dog won't do this and they don't like that. You just, you know, figure it out. But it's more, you know, what are you trying to accomplish? How do you get them in good condition? And if you've done any kind of sports yourself, or you're familiar with conditioning with other athletes or other kind of hound dogs or anything, you know, greyhound dogs, you know, not that I would train a pit bull like a greyhound, but that sprinting work, the sprint work that they do, you know, is good. Then you need to do something for endurance, you know, uh, and do some strength work, you know. That's basically all I did. So you don't need a mill. The mill can help you if you use it properly, and you just figure out, you know, what you're trying to do with the dog, and you know, get to that point. Practice, because that's the best way to learn. When you practice and you're going to screw up, that's a lesson that you should learn. And that's all any loss, any screw up should be, is a lesson. So it's not a negative thing, it's a learning situation. That's how I ended up looking at it that way. Because you know, when you lose or something, man, you fucking hot, you pissed, you know. But if you turn it into a learning situation, then it's not so negative, you know.
Indeed. Salute to my brother Joe Townsend, always coming through, representing the money and the magic. Make sure y'all go check out that OnlyFans for those of y'all that's into that sort of thing. What's up, bro? Sugar Tay Tay. She came through. I told y'all she'd be
there. There she is.
What up, though?
Tay Tay Brown in the building. Salute to what's up, Bank Statement Kills to see you in the building. Brother Eli, you there, brother?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Okay, what's if you were forced to put one in shape without the use of a treadmill, what would you do?
I actually had a little bitch. She would work the treadmill, but she didn't work it like I wanted to work. And the thing that I had to do, I went to Walmart and got one of those $200 pools, and the above ground pools, and I set that pool up and I swim it. And when I wasn't swimming her, I would take her to the field and we would do sprints with a little light chain, resistance chain. I mean, when I say light, I mean like a little 10-pound chain. You know, we would do resistance work with that, where we would do sprints, and I let her sprint the field. She wasn't a big bitch, so she was it was probably about 30 pounds. You know, but I would let her do that, and then as repetitions came, then we would do flirt pole, we would do spring pole, and then I had this little tug of war set up where I would put a stake in the middle, in like the middle of the yard, and I would have it straight. I didn't like it above her head for when I wanted to do that. I wanted her to work her shoulders. I wanted her to work her lats, and I wanted her to work her back end, and wanted her to work on, pulling. So I would have her set up and do that, and I would set it to where just it can get just to the end of her chain spot, and I'd give her the high, and she'd have to work, and she would start out. She probably would start out working like 5 minutes, and we add like a minute a day. Same thing with that swimming pool. You don't just throw them in there and let them swim forever. You put them in the swimming pool. They might start out swimming like 5 minutes, and then you just add like a minute a day, maybe 3 to 4 times a week. You're not gonna swim them every day like that, but because their pads will start to really really get soft and tender. So when you're doing your other work, you'll start to run into an issue. Make sure you're using some pad toughener, and make sure you giving good pad care when you're doing that, because that can become an issue when you swimming like that, and especially if you start to swim frequently, like 3 to 4 times a week. It's cool for me with swimming. And then we did a lot of sprint work with her. And like I said, I had the tug of war and I had the flirt pole, so I would just alternate between those. Like before I got rid of the swimmer, I might flirt pole her for about like 10, 15 minutes. We'll do flirt. I'll let her catch it, let her for a little, reward, let her catch it, tug of war with her for a little bit. And then I get off that, we'll go take a cool down walk. I watch her recovery in that time because I'm watching, paying attention. How fast she recover, I watch her recovery, then I bring her and set her in the pool. So if we got up to 45 minutes in the pool, that means I had got up to an hour really between that flirt pole and then an hour and 30 minutes with the walking. Now I wasn't working there for 2 hours or an hour and a half, 2 hours, but at the same time I was getting good recovery work, good intense work, and I was getting my endurance training in. And like the brother said, when you really want to set a nice clip, you can think about riding a bike and at a nice pace and let them go alongside you. They ride a bike, you ride a bike with them for about an hour or so. I mean, shit, you end up at about 6 miles and you won't even realize. Because 6 miles per hour ain't hard to get on a bike just coasting along. The average clip of a walk is 2.5 to 3 miles per hour if you're getting at a good clip. So it ain't hard to put those miles in if you actually put the work in. But yeah, it's plenty of things that you can do without a meal. And honestly, a lot of them are probably a lot better for the dog socially and everything.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point Eli made. Maybe he was alluding to this or not, but a lot of people overwork their dogs. They think you got to beat them up and put them through hell for them to be in good shape. And most athletes don't do that. They don't. And you shouldn't do that with your dogs. You can increase it. You can increase it and increase it little by little. But if you blowing them out, I heard people say, yeah, I work my dog 6-8 hours a day. Who the fuck has time to do that? And why?
That's way overworked. What's the quickest you ever put one in shape? How many weeks out?
4.
See?
Yeah, 4 weeks because like I say, I always regularly exercise my dogs, and when I say regularly, 2 or 3 days a week. I rotate them, and I had my son would help me. I had my kids. So when I did that, my dogs could run 5 miles, no problem. So I just, if I got 4 weeks to do it, because Indian Sonny used to do that. He tried to catch you off guard and he wanted a short keep. Hey, let's hook up in a month. I tell, okay, no problem. Really? Yeah, ready. Whatever weight you got, So I could start at that higher distance, longer distance, and build them up from there. 3 weeks of hard work. And then peak them out the last week. I'm good to go. I did that a few times, and then let's say my dog, he can run that 5 miles. If I'm doing an 8-week keep, I don't start them at 5 miles. I start them at the beginning, a half a mile, and build up like that. It's all how you do it,
Mm-hmm.
That's
like you were saying, that is what I was alluding to. Because a lot of times that's exactly what people do. They think, oh, you get an email, you're gonna turn the email all the way up. I learned from experience. I had a bitch. I worked her, and I worked her on just a nice coasting jogging pace. I remember Don Mayfield and then the old buddy that taught me a lot about conditioning, telling me, hey, that coyote trot is something else. When they get in that nice little groove where they got that nice gait, where they got a nice little coyote trot, he say, that's something else. He said, I'm telling you. And I remember the one of the first keeps I ever did was one of the best keeps I ever did. I was so cautious about not wanting to hurt the animal and not wanting to overwork. So I kept that nice pace and I let her kind of dictate where she wanted to be. Man, she recovered so smooth. And I knew the recovery because I had been watching her. I knew I had that whole little 30-second deal like Ram was talking about last week, where it was like 20 to 30 seconds, where it was like your mouth's gonna be closed again. I knew I had got it down, and I was like, oh. But the next time that I worked that same bitch, I was like, oh, I gotta push it. I was in my ego. I pushed the hell out that bitch. She didn't recover the same. And she didn't look the same. Her body didn't come back together the same. And I was like, damn. And it was like you saying, the intense part of the work was more for explosive recovery type work. The longer distance was for the endurance. So why was I trying to push her to work that fast when all she was gonna do was gonna burn up her energy supply and make her body work that much harder. That means what she was gonna do is she was gonna be losing a whole lot of weight during the time. She was gonna be reeling, and her body wasn't gonna be used to recovering. Her VO2 max wasn't gonna be the same.
Yeah, because you break them down during the workout, so they need time to recover. And what he called it, coyote trot, that's what coyotes do. They do that all day long. They may travel 25, 30 miles a day because it's at that pace, just that same pace, and it's for endurance, you know. And then, like you're saying, you use the to get their heart rate up. You can use their flip pole, and even with the flip pole, I see people work them till they're burnt out, laid out, can't breathe. Flirt pole is just a short workout. If you do 5 minutes intense workout with a flirt pole, I don't know what the comparison is. That's a hard fucking workout. You know, it's like sprinters. They, you know, if you they may, you know, train 500 yards or whatever, you know, a few days a week. You know, they ain't running the 1,000 yards that they do in a race. You know.
Yep.
And
that flirt pole. To add to what you were saying, that flirt pole, man, that flirt pole is a good like temperature check on how they take to their keep. It helps them from not getting injured because they get used to cutting. When you develop all that muscle and you develop all that explosiveness and you're not used to using it, it shows them how to use it.
Yeah,
go ahead, Mr. Garcia. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's all right. No. You made a good point. It's good for fast twitch muscle too. You know, it teaches them how to move quick, because they have to be on. And I do flip pole a lot different than I see people do it, you know, which is, you know, a lot of them have the string attached, you know, it's loose. I prefer the bait to be on the pole so I can move it real quick, and they have to react real quick, and they have to move real quick. And I only did it for a few minutes. If you're getting them up to 15 minutes on a flirt pole, that's plenty. And you know, for me, when even if I used a mill, you know, kind of like what Ram has spoke about, you know, they get up to that point where they and when they break their stride, I stop it. When they get up that what does Lem call it, Ram? When they but it's maximum what?
That's that VO2 max, that maximum output.
My bad. I'm over here hitting the bong and shit. Maximum stress.
There you go. There you go. When they hit that maximum stress, stop it. That's good enough. You know, you don't ever want them played out. I don't care what kind of work you do, it's bad, because when you do that, what will happen too is they'll come to peak too early. And when I say too early, sometimes it's a month early. You don't even realize it. Yeah. And you know, it's real hard to recover from that. They need a lot of rest after that. But you know, I just want to reiterate, you know, you don't need to work your dogs that hard. They're already athletes. Most of them do some kind of activities during the day. You know, if you have them on the chain, they'll run around. So they're in pretty good shape already. And, you know, if you got them down in weight, we used to do this all the time. You got them down in weight, 30, 40 minutes out off the chain. If they ain't banged up, it ain't shit. They can do that easy. So when you see your dogs look good off the chain, I'm talking back in the day, and then you put them in shape and they blow hot and they can't even do 30 minutes, you fucked up, man. It ain't a rub. It ain't the, you know, it ain't, you know,
hey, that'd be the first thing a motherfucker say too. Rub. Like, no, man, your dog blew hot in fucking 11 minutes and couldn't recover.
Yeah, you just don't know what the fuck you're doing,
teeth, motherfucker.
Exactly. like that. Is that simple? Yeah. But like I said, you got to do it over and over again. You got to pay attention, and once you got it down, then you're fucking extra. You go, oh shit, this ain't shit. Well, yeah, but how long did it take you to get there? And that's part of the process too. So,
hey, Mr. Garcia, this will be for a future show or something though. But when you think about it, the worst thing that a lot of people do is that tapering off phase. They don't know how to taper off.
Right.
They don't know how to taper off their work.
Yeah. Some will work them hard up to 2 or 3 days before the show. That's way too much, man. That's way too late to be working them that hard. I'm talking, you know, they be running them 15 miles and shit, you know, 2 days out.
Can't
You
fucking
can't
you
do
can't
it.
bring your body back together. You can't
You can't.
recover. You can't get back. You
Yeah,
all of them
yeah,
torn fibers in
yeah.
there.
Exactly.
It's gonna
All the
take at least 2
toxins.
days to recover from that.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's what that recovery means. It don't just mean, recover their breathing, their heart rate and all that. It means recover their body too,
Body.
because you fuck their muscles up, which is part of training. So they have to recover. They gotta, when you try this, people who are conditioner dogs, I don't care if it's weight pull, do half what you used to do, and then see how your dog looks at the end of the keep. I guarantee you he's going to look a lot better than the way he used to do it before, because they haven't recovered. Their muscles are all fucked up, tendons, ligaments, all that. And you're going to look at them and say, man, I did less work and they look better, because they are better, So that'd be a good thing to bring up.
The tapering off phase is something big. That's coming into peak. That's how you peak an animal.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
We done ran with that one 7 8.
No, it's good. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Salute to the brother Zachariah 23 in the super chat. Appreciate the support, man. He says, historically speaking, what's the worst injuries you've had to treat and thought a dog might not make it and recovered? We can start with you, Ram.
That'll be Red Jack Tiantis. Tore our muzzle all the way the fuck up. That is the worst I've seen. Just that much muzzle damage. It was pretty bad. So much so that you had to retire after that, because you couldn't even touch that shit without it opening up again. And what was the second part of the question? And he made it though, because we made sure he recovered, and we had IVs and all that shit that you should have. If you was out there like that, that should be in your fucking kit already. If you don't got it, go get one. Learn how to use that shit. But that would be the worst that I've seen as far as my shit go. Of course, I've fucking dealt way more damage than that to a motherfucker shit, but that wasn't the question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And what about you, Mr. Garcia?
Probably Mr. Rowdy. Two broke front legs, and all the flesh on one side of his bottom jaw was gone. When at 2:31 I picked him up, he was unconscious, right? And it was my opponent's scratch. And some people will say, well, you should have waited and saw he scratched. No, he's fucking dying. So I stopped it, right? I kind of got away from that, ego shit and try to do right by my dog. So I had Hit Town there, and Ram will tell you they're some of the best, right? They saved him, and he was still unconscious when we went back to TL's house. That's where we were staying. And when he woke up later on in the evening or early in the morning, when he woke up, he ripped off the IVs and shit, and he got up and he was looking for a dog. He ran all over that house looking for the dog,
Right.
And that was probably the worst. He had compound fractures on both legs. They one of his feet stayed twisted that way. The other one was bent. His leg was bent. It never straightened out. I couldn't have used him again. We didn't have the facilities then to go and do what a surgeon would do, as far as repairing his leg. So he just stayed like that, and he lived till older age. But that was probably the worst damage.
Sure.
He scratched like that too with broken legs like that, man. They was kind of bending out while he was going across, and that's pretty hairy. But that's another thing, man. Don't let your ego get in the way of a good dog.
Yes, indeed.
If you like them, some guys don't give a fuck. They don't care.
Right.
That's on them. I ain't that way.
Salute Combat Tool Bag in the building. I see you. Mo Boxing. Main Event Mark, what's happening, man? Melvin Brown, salute. SBC Kennel, salute to everybody that came through. I see y'all in here.
Jim Dog 9000. Spoof T from the UK. Salute. What up, Mo Boxing? Bang.
Brother Eli, what would you say?
Mine wasn't actually from the show. Mine was from me working a dog in my ego on the keep, and I strained him real fucking bad. And I thought I had made him flip his stomach at one point. And like this motherfucker went down and was like down to the point where he was reeled out, wouldn't eat for like a week or so. And I was having to tube feed him and keep him going and pump Pedialyte in him and get IVs underneath the skin
Thank
because
you.
he was just that bad off. Don't work a dog with your ego too. A lot of times, like Schoolboy was saying, most of that shit is ego, ego, ego. Don't get too caught up in your ego. Dog is a being like you're a being. You know, most like 7 8 let's say like Schoolboy was saying, it ain't me type ego. Yeah, then you don't need them because you're just gonna waste good dogs. And I had to recover that dog, and then once I recovered him, I had to figure out how I was gonna work him again because shit, he wasn't the same as far as working those tools. But one thing that's the thing that was the one of the worst things that I had to deal with because I couldn't like I couldn't figure out what the fuck was going on. And one of the older guys told me, he said, you probably flipped his stomach. He said, how long had it been since you fed him? And I was scared. He's like, you might have to take him to have surgery. He had me palpate him and stuff and checking. But he was all good there. I had strained him real bad, working him with my fucking with my ego, trying to make him pull this much. I wanted him to be super strong, you know. So that was one of the worst injuries. Like not to the degree of being torn up or something like that, like people would think. But a lot of times you get one in the keep and you start thinking, oh, he got bad beats, he just went down, oh, he did this and that, whatever reasons you come up with in your head, but you been working with your ego. So I try to keep different things on people's mind.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And salute to Dog Whisperer Kennel. Salute in the super chat. Thank you for the support. He says salute to the channel in the chat 100. Hashtag gang dogs for life. No name natural dewormer. Salute, fam. Appreciate the love and support. I think you had a wrench. I think I took it. Took the wrench because you changed your name and I didn't know who that was. I'm like, who the hell was this? Okay, now I remember who it was. Salute,
Hey,
fam.
yeah. When you get the wrench back, tell them drop the link to where we could get some of that natural dewormer at. You feel me? We'll
Yeah,
try
for
that
sure.
shit.
Most definitely. Yeah, brother. Let us know we can get that natural dewormer. I got some. They sent me some before. I'm yeah, but you can drop it in the chat if you still here, brother. Let me see here. So this another question we had from last week is how good, Mr. Garcia, how good were the La Passe dogs?
The ones I saw were I saw a couple of straight La Passe dogs. They were Bullet and Buster blood, most of them. But most of the ones I seen were crossed with the white blood. They were good. It put a little oomph in them, you know, because that white dog, they can be kind of lazy, you know. Uh, it put good mouth in them, you know, and speeded them up a little bit. Uh, but those are the ones I seen with the cross. They're rugged dogs, you know. Most of them thick bone, heavy muscle, you know, good for strength, mouth, and they had good heart, you know. Lot
Right.
of game ones, a lot of game ones. But the people in the Carolinas know more about them than I would. But the ones I seen were crossed with the white dogs. They were good. There's a commonality there because the white dogs come down from champion white bandit, Moore's champion white bandit, and he was line bred on La Passe's Bullet. So
Right.
when they brought it back later on, you know, it clicked real well. It really kind of woke them up a little bit, you know. Good stuff.
Right. Anybody,
Yeah, that was,
or Eli, you got any experience with the Passe dogs?
yeah, like Schoolboy was saying, that white and cotton bullets. It was a whole family at one point that was bred like that. I can't remember the actual name of the family of dogs, but they were real solid dogs. They were real good ones. I myself, I had I always liked the cotton cross because those cotton dogs they brought a little bit of smarts, a little bit of shiftiness to the dogs, and they were good, durable, good and durable, and with that muscle, they could bring a little bit of range to them from what I saw personally. So I had a the Hetrix with the old Pete Sparks blood and the Lightner and Kobe schoolboy
Oh
that
yeah,
Hetrix stuff. I had the
yeah, yeah,
Hetrix
yeah.
stuff crossed with the Cotton and the Buster, and it was just like they were real solid. I just didn't. I'm not gonna even lie to you. I didn't trust them because the ones that I had for so long, they were known to. They could keep you behind, but if they couldn't keep you behind, then it was like but you talking about dogs that were naturally crazy, freaking strong. Hey, they were freaking strong like Ram over there.
Yeah, yeah.
Call me out,
Hey,
man.
Yeah. Be lifting transmissions with one arm and shit.
real shit.
No, I take two now. Come on now. You
Yeah,
gotta put
Hey,
yeah.
50 over take two. If I
I'll,
was that
I'll,
strong, I'll be
yeah,
on
yeah,
TV. We'll
yeah.
be rich.
I'll lift the steels of the transmission with one arm, but that's about it.
hey, I'll tell you how strong those dogs were. I outweight pulled 80-pound dogs and the wannabe Whopper dogs and all that stuff. I outpulled them with a 49-pound bitch. She was a big bitch, but I
Yeah,
outpulled them with a 49-pound bitch. And when I say she was digging and she was coming, I won first place with a pulling, and it was just natural. It wasn't even nothing like I had just went out and did some crazy ass work with her. I just got her used to working in the harness because I was just working.
yeah.
She could prop a bitch up, and your feet wouldn't touch the ground again as long as it was going. That's how good she was back then.
Eli, you standing in the airfield, World War Three.
No, that's not me.
That's not what that Ram.
That's not me.
No,
Hell
What
that's
y'all
me.
looking
no.
at?
That's me.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
that's
chilling in
Yeah,
Oh,
fucking
yeah,
chill
yeah.
room.
It sound like a World War II plane, huh?
yeah, yeah. It's like,
Yeah,
man, I'm like, man, it's gonna go down over there somewhere.
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
that's
We
some
I
got
thought
prop.
they
That's some
was
prop
drag
duster.
racing
That's some
motorcycles
Zephyr.
over there. That's what it sounded
yeah,
like to me. Like, oh
yeah,
damn, they over
yeah,
there getting it.
yeah. Well,
I'm
pretty
out here in the
soon,
country.
I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say
Go ahead.
pretty soon, if we do the show on Friday, you'll be hearing the races. I live about not even 5 minutes from the races. You hear them all night long, man.
Oh
We have
yeah,
quarter mile track out here. Yeah,
You don't
there's
say. I might have
yeah.
to go up there,
Go
man.
out
I'll
there,
come
man.
down that way.
They
Yeah.
they have them nights where you could bring street cars,
Yeah,
and
run
Hmm.
with the Bron
and
Knights.
yeah, yeah. There you go. Yeah, we got everything here, in California, man. It's and they do the airfield's about 5 minutes from my house, and they have those shows where the Blue Angels come and the old World War II planes and even World War One plane, the biplanes and shit. They have events, where you can go out and check them out.
Yeah,
So
I
that's what
live
that
by the
is.
Air Force Base, so when I see planes, I'll get nervous. Like, God
Yeah,
damn, what the
yeah.
F-16's doing
Uh
up
oh.
today?
Uh oh.
What's going on?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Salute to Dog Whisperer Kennels back in that super chat. Appreciate you, man. He says, I got y'all, fellas. 78. I'll hit you in the DMs on Insta. Okay, bet. I'll share the information, brother. Appreciate you.
Hey, Zachariah 23. Yeah, hit him up on Instagram at Game Dog Talk, all one word. That's our Instagram shit, bro. Hey, and if you do follow us, man, couple rules. You gotta be posting on your shit. Don't just make no account just to follow us. I'm gonna think you a creep or the feds. I ain't gonna fucking approve that shit. And fucking before I let you on our shit, you gotta let me on your shit so I can see what you doing. Make sure you ain't no weirdo. You feel me?
Yes, indeed. SBC Kennels. What's happening with it, man? Salute to you in the super chat. Appreciate the support, family. Appreciate that. Okay, let's see here. Now we got another question here. This question is in the past, did the panel members have a way of mentally conditioning a dog to start? We'll start with you, Mr. Garcia.
Yeah. The reason I got the dogs in the first place was for competing, for competition. So when they were little, that's where I focused their mind, you know, and I would start them out maybe let them hit a stuffed toy, you know, and then you can use you know, like a spring pole or something, you know. It helps them, teaches them kind of learn how to bite. You know, you want to bite with their whole mouth. But when you get them in that attitude to, you know, we always talk about natural instincts and stuff like that. When you put that in their head, they're gonna. And the reason I did this, going back to the beginning, was, you know, a lot of people, when you start out, dogs ain't that good. You know, you gotta fuss with them. Some won't start. They act stupid. You gotta rub their nose. All that shit. I got tired of all that. I didn't want dogs like that. I wanted dogs where you set them down, they go. And that's it. No hesitation, no waiting, no thinking about it, no having to get mad and all that shit, you know. So that's where my mind was at the time. So I figured out, you know, if I start them when they're young, that when you put something in front of them, they go, then that's what they'll do. So I started like that with a stuffed toy when they're 3-4 months old. Then I would scratch them to the toy. Then I would have some kind of bait, you know, with my son, and he'd stand off to a distance, and I'd scratch him to the bait 10, 20, 30 times in a row, over and over again. And because of where we live, sometimes there's fields that are unused, and they're full of squirrels, and they're full of rabbits. So I take them out there, they dig. Sometimes I cut them loose, you know, or I'd have a long lead, you know, and they chase something and get it and grab it. You know, we talk about that finish and that killing instinct. So I wanted to put all that into them, that's where their focus was. That's what they're supposed to do. You know, for me, my dogs weren't so much a pet, you know, and I'm not saying we didn't bring them inside. We didn't love them. The kids play with them, all that. I talk about all that. My wife bottle fed dogs. But besides that, the main focus was on that, competing. Some worked out, some didn't, but I did it to all of them. And, you know, the ones that didn't work out, no harm, no foul, they had something to do. But that's where I wanted their focus. And then I put them in the box and did the same thing, just like I did talk about with the playing tug of war in the box, so they could become familiar with that area. They're comfortable in that area. They're accustomed to it. They know what's what. They know where the four walls are, the corners. And I just scratch them over and over in that box. So that it got to the point where most of my dogs, when I put them in that box, whether there was a dog in there or not, they're going to start going off. They're going to look, they're looking for something. They start screaming, they're ready. So doing that kind of put it in their head that that's what they're supposed to do. And you know, I never really had dogs that didn't start. They would all start. Some of them didn't, you know, they didn't finish. They quit, you know, they'd stop. But I never had a problem with them starting. So you can mentally condition them for whatever. It's the same way with the legal sports. You can redirect that energy and put them into sports. And that's why you see a lot of dogs, you know, they're off lead or they're standing there and the people are using hand signals or voice signals to get them to pull weight or wall climb or treadmill race and all that. If you direct the dog in mentally, what you want them to do is just going to help them later on when they have to do what you want them to do. And that was kind of my way of doing it. You know, they're supposed to go when you cut them loose. And, you know, even that, you know, how you hold a dog, you know, scruff of the neck, you stand over them. When they do that, when you do that to them and they're familiar with that, anytime you do that, they're going to start looking for something. And that's how, with some people, the dogs didn't fight. I had to be real careful because if I started doing that, then they would get in their head, you know, hey. And I think my point is, I think with that, I think it's inherent in the dog to hold them that way, to cut them loose that way, to face them up that way. You're telling them that you want them to do something. That could be, it could be bullshit. It could be whatever. There might not be no science behind it. But like I said, I've had dogs that live together, and when I square them up like that, they want to fight. So that was kind of my way of mentally conditioning the dog to do that, you know, and that's about it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Salute everybody in the building. I see you coming through here, Milltown Kennel. Salute, brother Veracity Exchange in the building. What's happening with it, man? Salute. Rhodes Kennel. Salute. Brother Eli, what's your take on that? You want me to read the question again?
Yeah. No, you good. No, absolutely. Schoolboy, he just like he laid it out really. But one of the things that I really used to do, man, my pups, I would like feed. I fed raw. But one of the things that I would do, I would actually go get a live chicken, and I would actually let them actually hunt their food and catch their food and finish it and eat it. You know, and the pups that did that, like it was a big difference from them compared to pups that didn't. Like they prey drive was like crazy. Like okay, like I'm thinking about this shit like, okay, this is something different. It's something different in these because they develop a different type of drive. I wouldn't baiting them with it or nothing like that. It was just like, okay, this is food. You catch your food. You do it. You know, and I let them catch it and let them finish it. Pluck the feathers, do all that, and shit. They eat a whole chicken. That's what you're gonna eat. You
Yeah,
know,
feathers
and
and all. Yep, yep.
feathers and all. You gonna eat
Yeah,
it.
I used to throw a rabbit in the box and then put them in there, and
Yep.
then rabbit can't really jump out. They can jump, but they try and run, and the dog got to chase them a little bit. And then it may
Yeah.
seem cruel, but it's a rabbit, and
No,
they're
it's food. It's
it's
food.
food. It's food. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And
It's
they catch we had chickens too, and they catch them when they get close to their chain area, or they'd wait. They're kind of like in wait, laying in wait, and the chicken come by, they come out, they eat the whole thing, man. Every bit
mm-hmm.
of that chicken. It's good for
Yep,
their
every bit of
instinct,
it.
you know,
Yeah,
and
it's good
and
for
that
the
don't
instinct. It's good for 'em.
that's right, and it don't relate to where some people think, well, they're going to attack people or they're going to bite kids.
Nah,
Nah, it had nothing to do with that. It's just
no.
you're bringing out their natural instincts that are already in there, and if you don't bring those out, well, hell, they may not ever come out, you know,
I, I noticed
or
the difference because my old buddy, they used to when they used to hog hunt, they would keep the hides, and when they would keep the hides, the little puppies, they would turn the puppies on to the center of the hog from the hide. And
yeah,
but the puppies was start to develop that type of drive, that type of mental, like, okay, I'm supposed to go get this, you know.
right,
So it was like, oh, okay, that kind of tips they drive. So mentally they preparing already. So then when they be actually teaching them how to bait, they think they catching what that high that they've been catching, you know.
exactly, yeah,
Also, another thing with me being a weight puller and loving the weight pull, I would the one thing that a lot of people didn't like to do is like the dog gets stuck and they wouldn't pull because they felt like it would break them. I had a little male man, like I would get him to the end of the track and I showed my buddy. I say, "You want to know the drive of this dog?" I said, "I ain't never worried about him." I got him to the end of the track and it wasn't nothing but a brick wall in front of him. And I told him, dig, work, work. And this motherfucker was screaming, hollering at a brick wall, trying to dig to finish his pull because he had been conditioned that much that he wanted to work so hard for me that he wasn't gonna quit no matter what. It wasn't nothing but a brick wall in front of him.
exactly,
And he was digging like that. I knew he wouldn't. I knew he didn't have. I knew he didn't have the type of. I knew what he would do for me. At that point, some people might say, "Man, that's kind of crazy," but I knew what he would do for me at that point.
yep,
Though, when you develop that, the biggest part of developing those dogs mentally is you developing a relationship with them. So you know them and they know you. They know what you want from them, and you know what they gonna give you and what they can give you. So that way, if you know what they can give you, then you can push them a little bit harder to step out there and go a little bit further. You can give them the confidence that they need. A lot of times, people fail to realize in the development of the dog, you developing their confidence too, where you know that they'll break because you know your dog. You're supposed to give them a little bit more confidence to be able to do it, carry them through a little bit. And once you carry them through a little bit and show them they can do it, hey, they'll come through. It's just like if you ever had a skittish, scary dog or a shy dog that really wouldn't give you the all out work, but you kind of talk to them and, hey, you all right, I got you, you know. And then all of a sudden you see that dog in 3, 4 weeks, a month, and that dog is working all out and his tail wagging, his head high. So it's a difference. You developing that confidence into that dog. So mostly develop, know your dog, you know, and learn from your own mistakes.
Yeah, agreed. Good points. Yeah, that's a
Mhm.
lot to it. You know, there's some dog guys, none of that enters your head. You know, they don't think about that relationship with the dog. Some of them don't even do a rub down on their dog. Yeah, they all right. You know, all that matters. You know, and the more you can get in that dog's head, even without him knowing it, if you understand what I'm saying, you know, they're gonna do what they've been introduced to. And if you have that relationship, they will give you a little more. It don't mean that's gonna make them game, or you know, it's gonna change what they already are, but it's gonna help them to
Exactly.
get them to do what you want them to do. And you might get a one or two scratches out of them that maybe someone else wouldn't be able to do. It might matter, you know. I'm talking about the
It
past,
do.
of course, but so yeah,
Hmm.
good points, good points.
Indeed. Salute to the brother I Am Legend Boxing in the super chat showing love. Appreciate the support, family. He says, salute to 78. You give men a place to communicate as men. It may be Dog Talk Boxing or Patreon. The community that you built is undeniable. He says, you are truly appreciated, brother. Hashtag LDBC. Thank you, bro. Appreciate the kind words, bro. Salute to you.
Well said, brother.
Yes, indeed, man. And I got some Patreon content going to be dropping later on tonight. So salute to everybody that signed up to the Patreon. Appreciate y'all, man. Thanks, bro. And salute to
Hey, 7-8.
one second, Eli.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Salute to Timothy Trent in the Cash App. Much love and much appreciation, fam. What's going down with it, Eli?
Blessed to fish. He asked a question. Is it okay to let elder dogs teach the pups? Schoolboy, what's your thoughts on that, man?
Older dogs teach the pups.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the first influence for me, I looked at it this way: the first influence is their mother, and they teach them a lot. Believe it or not, you know, they'll wrestle with them, fight them, teach them this or that. As far as putting them together, older dogs, you know, I guess if they get along, but the way I use the older dog to teach a younger dog was schooling together. You know, that's another point that some people don't agree with me with. You know, some people they didn't look at their dogs on their own yard. They wouldn't school their dogs with their relatives because they think it fucks with them. They were raised with their brothers, or they know their mother. I didn't care. I put anything on anything. You know, I put Big
Hell
Red
yeah.
on.
Like I'll punch one of my brothers in the face
Yeah,
right now. He get out of
exactly,
line.
like that. And they may get along when they're little, you know, but they develop that quote unquote hate later. And it could be, you know, you used to beat my ass, now I'm gonna fuck you up, you know. It could be that we done this shit when we were little, we're gonna continue it. And I put mothers with their daughters and sisters together, brothers, uncle, aunt, niece, sire and son, all that. I didn't give a fuck because, like I said, my whole thing for them was competition. So it shouldn't matter who the fuck is in front of you. You should go. And that just, it's something that just stuck in my head. I hated all that, you know, fussing with them and hesitation and all that, you know. You know, I wanted them to go now. Start. Keep busy, always doing something. Don't slack up. And it don't mean they blowing out, but have that control, that what did whom call it, that poise. Sometimes, you know, that's good too. But I wanted action from the get-go. I wanted them to do what they wanted to do, regardless of what their opponent is doing. And I don't care if their opponent wants to start or don't want to start. My dog's going to hit you, and he's either going to make you start or he's going to cur you out. One of the two. It's just that mindset. That's part of that mental conditioning too. You want them to do it without thinking, having to think about doing it. It's like a boxer. They do things naturally, instinctively. If you start thinking, I got to throw this punch, or I got to do this, or I got to duck, you're fucked. That's a half second that you're thinking when you should be reacting or acting. And I wanted the dogs the same way. Get in there and do your thing. Fuck what they're doing. You control it. That's a little bit of that.
I had to catch that question because I thought to myself, exactly what Schoolboy was saying. I figured he would go there. Not only that, traits that are known in your family, and when they come to be taught from one to the next, they actually stick a little bit harder. You start to develop a style. You start to develop
Yeah.
that type of animal. So yes, that's a good thing for me. You know, you
Plus, if
you
you
you just
really
need to
want to
know your
know
animal.
that you
Go ahead.
fucking moving forward with your breedings, like put him on his daddy if his daddy
That's
ain't
the
too
other
old.
part.
You know, if
Yeah.
his daddy a bad motherfucker and he whoop his daddy ass, he the new bad motherfucker on the yard. You know,
That's right. It's a natural chain of order. You know, that's just part of it. We're Mother Nature. We do what Mother Nature does in our way of doing things. You know, and uh, you know, part of what we changed was the gameness. You know, their lack of survival instincts or their lack of self preservation. But all that other shit is the same thing. You want natural instincts. You want a finishing instinct. You want natural ability and athleticism. All that behavior, temperament, all that. So we make the dogs how we want, and you know, we use the ones that pass those traits on. We'll get a little bit into it on the next question or later on, but that's kind of the way I looked at it. You know.
Hmm. My
Indeed.
bad, 7-8. I had to snatch that
Oh,
off.
it's all good. Salute. What's up,
Hmm.
flawless mentality in the building? You know what I'm saying? Everybody in the Blackjack, salute to everybody that's in the building. I also want to give a shout out to Brother Orhan. Last week, he sent the Cash App. I must not have heard it while I was doing the show, but I appreciate that Cash App from last week, Orhan. Much love, man. And Ram, what was your take on that? The other question. Let me get back to
oh no, I remember what it is, bro. I was paying attention today in class.
it.
I would do what Eli was alluding to, and I would use a fresh piece of cowhide because I wasn't lucky enough like these two motherfuckers to be in the country and have fields and shit. All I had was old funky ass hood cats, and I'd never turn my dog loose on one of them motherfuckers. So I would use fresh pieces of cowhide from puppies, you know. Were they in the puppy box? I just hang it up in there and pay attention to the ones who was grabbing it, and then the ones who was the most interested in it, I would start letting them scratch into it. Boom, one at a time in their little puppy box. Boom, boom, and I'll move it. I'll put it in the corner. Boom, let them scratch into it from their corner, and just raise them like that. A fresh piece of cowhide, but it got to be fresh, soft, so the pups will stay interested in it because it's malleable and pliable, so they could fucking move it, shake it, and all that. I learned that they don't really be too interested when they be all hard and stiff. So a fresh piece of cowhide that's still nice and soft, they love it. That's how I started them up. And I continued that through, their whole life, just as part as they just everyday exercise.
Yes, indeed.
Maybe not so much putting it in the corner when they got bigger because they fucking run right into that shit. You don't want to, fuck your dog up. But, as puppies, yeah, boom, they can't break the box yet.
Right, right. Okay. And what are some of the reasons? What are some of the reasons why some breedings don't click? And we'll start with you, Mr. Garcia.
Yeah, the general consensus is, you know, everything's a gamble. I didn't think that way. To me, that's bullshit. Or you know, it's a chance. Are you taking a chance? And you know, some things click. They talk about genetics. People talk about genetics like they know genetics. They don't know shit, and I don't either. So you know, when it comes to that, the when you're making breedings and they don't work, you know, let's say you got a bad dog, he's tough, and you breed him. Well, instead of him throwing himself, he's throwing something that's in his past, some quirky, funky thing that his grandpa had, or his great grandpa had, or his grandma, or his mom, or dad. Something that you didn't think too much of as a deterrent, as a negative, it comes out because them negative things will come out before the good stuff does. So you're trying to, in your breedings, you're trying to pile up the good and get rid of as much of the negative shit as you can. For instance, a buddy of mine, you know, he's got a dog, and you know, or he had a dog. He don't have dogs no more, but he had a dog, and he did his thing. He started him. The dog looked good. But off the chain, you know, he's walking them around the yard or whatever, or standing next to another dog. They're screaming at him. The dog don't pay attention to him. He don't growl at him. He don't look at him. He don't do shit to him. And he told me, you know, his grandpa was that way. And that's when I made the point of that came out. You don't want dogs like that. And getting back to the earlier question, I didn't want dogs like that. If you get loose, or I cut you loose, or you're by something, you better act right. And some people think, well, you know, it pops up here or there. Well, if you're leaving it in your blood, it's going to come out. And it could be one little negative thing that you don't think too much of, you know, because your dogs do what they're supposed to do, this and that, but then it comes out. And if you keep breeding that, you compound it. And you can almost judge, you know, at some point, this shit is going to come out and it's going to fuck my program up. That's one thing, one reason why breedings don't work. We say they don't click, but there's generally a reason that they don't click. And if you know your dogs and you know the ancestry of your dogs, you can pinpoint it to exactly where it's coming from. And then you have to eliminate it. I got rid of a whole line of dogs just because some of them wouldn't scratch. They were hard-mouthed and fast, but some of them wouldn't scratch and they couldn't take punishment like I liked them to. I won with some of them, but they weren't good enough for breeding, and I dumped every single one of them fucking dogs. People won't do that. You try and improve. You can improve it, but it's real hard to get rid of that negative stuff once it's in there. You know, you can do it, but for me, it's better just get rid of it and go a different direction. Use other dogs that don't have that. Things like that, you know. The other thing is, and I get a lot of bullshit for this, which, you know, this is just me, is we talk about, you know, nature, and we talk about instincts and prey drive and killing and finishing and all that stuff. And we talk about that all this stuff is natural to the breed, but people don't take into consideration the age of the dogs. And through my own breedings, when they get too old, I'm done with them. And what's too old? Well, the dog will show you, and it'll come out in the pups. And again, it could just be something funky, like your dogs used to come out and they're good to go. Now they start hesitating a little bit. They think a little bit about it before they do. It could be anything. But I didn't like breeding old dogs because nature tells us that they don't do that. Nature doesn't do it. And if we're talking about natural instincts and all that shit, then why would you breed your dogs when they're 15 fucking years old? You know, people will tell you they throw the same and they do the same and there's no difference. Well, for me, there was. The best bitch I had, her earliest breedings were the best ones. When she got older, they weren't as good. And it didn't matter how I bred her. Even outcrossing. The outcross ones weren't as good as the tight bred ones. Tight bred ones were badass. The outcross ones were okay. I still won with some, but it wasn't the same. So that's how I look at nature. Everything for me is nature, and we're Mother Nature, all that bullshit I talk about. But from what I've seen, it does make a difference. And it makes more of a difference with females because they carry the pups, it's wear and tear on their body and all that. Where a male, you can breed them in their later years, and if they're a good producer, they're a good producer, even up in age, past 10 years old, you know. But it was just something that you know, that I learned from other breeders, and you know, I tested it with my own stuff. I paid attention, kept all kinds of records, and they just, as they get older, they just don't throw the same, man. And you start having health issues too, and structure issues, and you know, sometimes people don't pay attention to it. They just look at it, well, that's what happened. Had nothing to do with their age. Well, it might, and it's just something to pay attention to.
Yes, sir.
There's always a reason why something don't click. You just got to figure out what it is. It's not by chance. It's not by, you know, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. It's like Boyles told me a long time ago, and it stuck in my head. He made, and I've mentioned it before, but he made a breeding, and I said, do you think it'll work? He goes, why the hell would I make a breeding if I didn't think it was going to work? You know, his mindset wasn't, oh, well, it's hit or miss. It's 50-50. It's a gamble. He didn't think that way. So I learned not to think that way either. The shit either going to work or it ain't. And if it don't, I better figure out why, and I should know where it's coming from. and don't repeat it. The age is part of it. The other is these funky, you know, acting dogs or something negative about them, you know, that man, it just, you breed them and it compounds it. The bad shit always comes out first. So I tried to eliminate as much as I could. You ain't never going to get rid of all of it, but you can whittle it down to where it's almost insignificant.
Right, right. Ram, what's your take on it? Why some blood don't click?
Let Eli answer that. They just delivered my new phone. Let me plug this shit up right quick.
Okay, go ahead, Brother Eli. Eli, yeah? I think you have technical difficulties, Eli. You might have got a phone call or something, but your mic, we can't hear you. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that one for them. We'll go to this next one.
Hear me now?
Oh, yeah, I hear you now.
Hello?
Yeah, I hear you, Eli. Eli, you there? You might have to leave out and come back in, bro.
All right, yeah. Shit, some breeders don't click just because it don't click, bro. And that's just the luck of the draw. I was a little different when I fucking was judging breedings that didn't click. So say like I'll breed my badass winning male one timer to a badass bitch, like, and I'm so anal about the fucking history of both dogs, so pretty fucking know every dog all the way to the 6, because I did talk to the motherfuckers who had them in depth, and I would, you know what to look for if it popped up. And if those dogs, when I bred them, didn't produce fucking champion, like if I'm schooling them and I don't see these could possibly be championship dogs, to me that breeding didn't click. You know, because I don't want dogs that's on par with both of the parents. I want something better. I was always trying to take my shit, you know, to the next step in the game. I was never satisfied with just mediocre, you know, especially when I made my first champ. Everything after that, that's all I was looking for was champions, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point, because a lot of people won't do that. They'll accept things that they shouldn't. And if you want to up your game, you want to improve your dogs individually, that's what you have to do. It could be something, you know, funky. It could be something that you know, they kind of act like their parents and they kind of perform like their parents, but they ain't up to par. Don't use them. Don't use them because
Exactly.
you're tearing your shit down.
Yep.
You're going backwards instead
That's
of
why I
forward.
would say if even if they were on par with the parents, I wanted better than the parents. That's why I made the breeding, you know. And if
Yeah,
they were just
exactly.
exactly like the parents, to me that breeding didn't click. Now motherfuckers would like them and love them, but to me that's not what I was looking for, you know.
Yeah,
So that didn't
yeah,
meet my standards. So
yeah,
here
yeah.
you can have
You're
them.
gonna,
I
yeah,
don't
you're gonna
care,
get
you
it.
know, how average or above average they were. That's not what I was looking for. But go ahead,
Yeah,
OG.
I was gonna say that's how you lose your blood. You know, you lose your dogs if you ain't improving them, and it could be just one thing. You know, they bite a little harder, they're a little bit faster, they're a little bit stronger. You know, and
Exactly.
hopefully it's more than one thing. You know, but if it ain't that, don't don't keep them. It's
Yeah.
hard for people to do because they look at the ped and they look at the breedings and all the time and money involved. You can't look at it that way. You're gonna spend money. You're gonna spend time. But if you want to improve them, you got to have those kind of standards, because you just be going backwards if you don't, and that ain't no good. You know, you're gonna get stuck in a rut. You know.
Yep. You just wasted time and money. Money you could
Yeah,
get back, but time, shit, I wish.
yeah. I wish. I wish I was your age. I'd be all
Shit,
kinds
I
of
wish
shit.
I was 25 again. Shit.
Yes, indeed. Brother Eli, what's your take?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, Eli. Can you hear us? Eli, can you hear me? Yeah, Eli having some type of technical difficulties.
And are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And
I don't know what that's about. We
did
can
he
hear
leave out and come back?
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yeah, he can't hear us. For some
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead. We'll hear you.
Yeah, we hear you. Just try to leave out and come back, man.
Or I'll send him another link real quick.
Yeah. He'll be back in here. See what's on. He might have got a call or something weird happened. Let me see here. All right. So another question we got here is, what are the advantages and disadvantages of trading a pup with a friend? What do you say to that, Mr. Garcia?
Well, this is the way we did it. You know, if I give you a dog, you give me a dog. If the dog works out, you use it. If it don't, you cull it. If I don't want it for any reason, or they don't want it for any reason, the dog comes back to me, or I give them their dog back. I did that several times, and it keeps the friendship there. You shouldn't be fighting over dogs if they're real friends,
Right.
because the dog hang around for several years and then he's not there. If you fighting over dogs like that, you know, that's not good. But it's because people don't have that respect for each other, and they put the dog first and all that. You know, if you do things right, you won't have a problem. And it's, for me, it's best to do that with your friends. You know, once a dog left my yard, it's gone. I have no say so. And even someone, if I have that kind of deal, don't mean they're gonna uphold their end. So I always had that in my mind. But luckily, I had good friends, and we could do that with each other. You know, I've even taken dogs to friends that were shy, bring them out of their shyness, you know, or pups for friends, you know, and I just give them the whole litter back and give them their bitch back, you know, and once they're out of that shyness, I might have them for 6 months or a year. They go right back to their own, you know, with my friend. I guess the bad thing is if you're friends and you do that and somebody don't hold their end up over a fucking dog, which you're gonna have a lot of dogs, you know. So that would be the best thing. The worst thing is that, you know, people don't hold up their end of the deal, you know. For me, it wasn't worth it, you know. I have a conscience, I gotta live with it. And with my friends, I never had that problem, man. It was always straight up, and I liked it. You get to the point too where if they got good dogs and you got good dogs, you be trading dogs back and forth, you know. And you have a supply of dogs. You have some cross or something that goes good with yours, or there's all kinds of positives that go along with that, you know. And that's probably the best thing, you know. You don't have to go out and buy a bunch of dogs over. You're still gonna do that, you know. If you see something you like, go buy it. But if you're connected with good people that produce good dogs, they want you to have their dogs. You want them to have your dog because you get to see how they do in someone else's hands. It's one thing for you to use them. You know your dogs, and you can get the best out of them. If someone else can take them and use them, then you know, it's just another feather in your cap. That's the way I looked at it.
Yes, indeed.
Can you hear us, Eli? Yep.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear y'all.
Okay, you back.
Yeah.
Okay, good. What's some
Okay, what was the last question?
Oh, well, first, let's get to this one first. We'll go back with that one.
Go ahead.
What's the pros and cons of trading a pup with your friend?
Man, for one, like that's all I ever did. Like my dogs, they not with everybody. I didn't sell dogs to everybody. I didn't make money off of dogs like that. I sold one dog that I remember of for $1,000, and then I traded a dog to God rest his soul to Greasy Corner Kid and his partner, you know, for a nice buckets dog that I like. But I did not. I always gave dogs to my friends and my buddies that I really value, and they gave dogs to me. I haven't paid for a dog. I hadn't paid for a dog, shall I say, because I only got my one dog right now. I hadn't paid for a dog in 15, 20 years, about 15 years. I haven't paid for a dog because of the simple fact of that right there. people knew my standard, I knew their standard. And the pros of that was that because I knew their standard, we had like minds. I knew they wasn't gonna mess over the dogs. I knew they was gonna do right. I knew I would be able to get back to the dog. The one dog that I have right now, I bred his dad. Later on, I ended up getting his dad back, and I ended up getting him first, and then the dude gave me his dad back. And just because he said, you know what, I don't want to see you leave dogs, but you say you leaving, but I would at least like you to have this. And I ended up getting him back. And that was one of the pros that when everything was gone, I could reach back to somebody and they valued my standard, I valued their standard, and I knew I wasn't getting back bullshit. I knew I was getting back what I wanted. The same, and it went hand in hand with what was asked that last question. On why breeders didn't click. I bred with people that I knew had that standard. So the pro was is they kept the standard. I got the dog. I got dogs back from people that I knew had a good standard, and I didn't have to worry about if they was bullshitting me on pedigrees or not. The couple breeds that I did were all breeds like that. I talked to one group of people for probably 8 years before we ever did a breed, and we ended up they ended up sending me a dog that was one of the last dogs that was actually bred like one generation from Ricky Jones' program, and I ended up getting this dog from them for free, just based off our relationship and just based off us knowing each other's standard. They sent me this dog. This dog was bred second to none. Still had Homer in the first four generations, Sundance in the first four generations, like dogs that people don't even see, don't even know a lot. I got stuff like that for free. So developing those relationships, that's what it is. And like Schoolboy said, the con of that is if you have a relationship with the wrong person and they can't be honest and they can't have any kind of integrity about themselves, and that throws a wrench in y'all relationship. I've had people to the point where it threw a wrench in our relationship because we were good, we were cool, but then when it came to a point in time to where their egos got into it, and the dogs were like, okay, oh, people started to say, oh, this dog got that from this dog, or hey, what about those dogs over there, and start to walk around they dogs over here. It started to get to a point where it's like, oh, okay, oh, they think more of that. That when the egos and stuff like that start to come into place, that's when you got to take the dogs out of them. You got to say, you know what? I want to know this person for who I know him for. If that's my partner, we can't do dogs like that. I don't value dogs over people. So I will take that in consideration and be like, if they want a dog, you can get a dog. That's not a problem. But as far as me, like wanting to do dog business with you, nah, because I know that's creating a rift between us. And if you're a good person, I'd rather have you. I'd rather have you as a good person than have you as a person that, hey, you're a little bit in your ego about this. So nah, I ain't gonna fuck with you on that. I understand. So exactly what Schoolboy was saying. Yeah, those pros and cons.
Yes, indeed. Brother Ram, what's your take on it?
Like, I never really just traded dogs. Like, I might breed, my dog to your dog and we'll split the litter. So we trade in blood in that aspect. But like just straight up trading a pup for pup or, so on and so forth along those lines, I've never done that. But the advantages of that though, say like I breed my bitch to your male and shit, and we both honest with our programs and man enough and balls big enough to say this is what our shit is lacking, even though it's the goods, it'll be the greats if we do this, and you look for what you added, what both bring to the table and shit like that. That's always a plus. Some gonna be the goods and some gonna be the motherfucking mutts. You just fucking don't fuck with the mutts and stick to the ones that came out how you fucking planned in your head, stuck to your standard. The disadvantages that I had is I didn't gave people straight up dogs like, here, man, real good dogs that I want to see you win. So, I'll give you this champion caliber bitch who's breed to your program, and the motherfucker just don't do right by the goddamn dog. You know, like, motherfucker, I should have kept that shit.
Yeah.
Now I won't just beat you up because, like Eli said, I don't put people over dogs, but I never give your ass another motherfucking thing. You could be fucking having a heart attack. I ain't finna give you mouth to mouth with a goddamn air pump. You better
Hey,
figure it
my
out.
brother, my brother can't get a dog for me. My brother can't get a dog for me because that motherfucker fucked up some dogs that I gave him, and he can't get a
See, my
fucking
auntie the
dog.
same way. I gave my auntie a puppy and she raised it to 6 months and gave it away. And this was 10 years ago. You can't get another goddamn pup from me ever.
Ever.
That's my auntie raised me from a pup. Love her to
Yeah.
death. Nope.
Let me ask y'all
Yeah.
this, because along the lines of this, like I heard some people say this, like they've given the dog or they traded dogs or whatever to one of their homies. Then the dog works out, but then, like for instance, like the dog work out, but then you say you claim the dog didn't work out, and you credit all your breedings to one of the dogs in your yard. Like that's some shady shit. Like what's the
Yeah.
purpose of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's their ego. It's their ego.
Exactly.
They don't want
I was just going to say the
yeah.
same thing.
They don't want to give you credit. I know people like Ram just said that they grew up, they're family. They ain't family no more over a fucking dog, you know. And one guy took the dog, put different papers on him, you know, that it was his breeding, didn't give the guy credit, didn't give him his dog back, you know, sold the dog, all that. People will do that. And it's over a
Yep.
dog. And you got to look at it. The dogs don't last. They're here for
No.
a few years, you know, and then you got more dogs. So,
Yep.
so in my mind, there's no, you know, you may have the baddest dog in history, you know. Well, if you can't make another one, then shit, you ain't a very good breeder, you know.
Yeah.
You maybe there was only one ZEBO, but there was also a Vindicator. There was also a Ruby, badass fucking dog, you know. There may be only
Yep.
one Art, but there was also Java, and there was also his brother.
Niggerino and
Yeah,
so
all
on.
kinds of, you know.
Mhm.
So if you know how to breed, you're always gonna have good dogs. And you know, depending on how they're campaign, yeah, one may be more famous than the other, but it's still a top-notch dog. So that ego can get you in a lot of trouble, man. It can break up families, this and that, and lose friends, you know, where you know, maybe in another life you wouldn't be doing shit like that. But you probably would
Exactly.
anyways. But the point is, you know, to me, it's not worth it. You know, it's not worth it. Your reputation should mean something because that's all you got at the end of the day. I don't have dogs, ain't had them for years. All I have is my reputation. And if I'm a shady motherfucker back then, I'm gonna be a shady motherfucker now. If I wasn't, then I'm still good now.
Yep.
And that's what you got. You know, people will respect you for that, you know. And if you got a good relationship, just like Eli said, or Ram, you know, you're going to get more dogs from the dude. You're going to get more good dogs, and he's going to get them from you. You can do that for years, over and over and over again,
Over.
rather than fuck it off
Hey,
over one fucking dog.
Mr. Gus, no bullshit. I swear. Hey, I bred to champions and grand champions and great dogs and great yards that I shouldn't have had access to, and got dogs from people because of the simple fact that they just knew that my word was my word. They knew that I was gonna be solid on everything that I said to them. Right now, I tell people that, like if I talk to somebody, just going reminiscing on over old times, because I don't have dogs. If they offer me a dog, I tell them, say, man, honestly, I might end up having to send the dog back to you. You know, I'll just raise them and enjoy them for right now. But I end up having to send them back to you if he worth the fuck or if you like them, and send them back to you because I'm not gonna do what you may do with them. That's not what's gonna happen. But I'm honest with people. A lot of people they not honest. They'll take your dog and get what they're gonna do. They're gonna breed them. They're gonna sell puppies, and then that's the number one thing that fucking breaks up relationships. People that are in like good standing with people that get the dogs, they start breeding, and the dog they never find out what the dog is, and you see all of a sudden Somebody selling puppies for $500, $600, even $1,200, whatever. They selling puppies, and then you see another man say, "Man, that dog ain't even this. That dog ain't even that. You see, I gave that dog to you with this. You ain't even got the papers on." And there go the bickering, and there go the arguing
Yeah,
because somebody didn't keep their integrity within a relationship to call somebody and say, "Hey, I had this in mind, bro. I know you sent me the dog. I can do what I want to do with it, but this is a relationship that we got, so I'm gonna keep it solid with
that's true.
And that right there is why I never did trades. I would give it to you straight up, and I would
you."
accept
Mm-hmm.
it straight up. You know, this is my dog. What I do with it was what I do with it. I could take it to
Mm-hmm.
grand champion status, or I could make him a house pet. I ain't gotta hear your shit
Mm-hmm.
about it because it's my dog, and you ain't gonna hear shit about the dog I gave you. You feel me? That's your dog now.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, short of eating that motherfucker, have at it.
That's true. And see,
Goddamn right.
the we have different opinions and different experiences, and it's because of the bullshit that we're talking about. Graham did it his way. He he do it his. I do it my way, and it's because you know most everybody gets screwed over. And if you're good at what you do, you're a good condition, you're a good breeder. Your friend or your acquaintance, whatever, they want you to have their dogs because it reflects on them. They know you're going to do right by them. They know you're going to bring the best out in them. You're going to breed them to good bitches, or you're going to breed the bitches to good males. They want that. But if you're a shady motherfucker, they're going to change their number. You ain't going to, the relationship is over one dog generally.
Yeah, that's sad. That's sad. People lose relationships. I always
Yeah.
wonder why so many of these old dog men don't get along, and it's always over some shit like that. Some
Always.
some petty, stupid shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. That ain't going to matter
Hey,
in 5 years or 10 years. It don't mean a fuck, but they'll ruin it, but they ain't got
hey,
foresight.
7-8.
Yeah.
What you just said, 7-8. I done told y'all offline who the names were. But I sit at a barbecue and watch famous dog men go at it. And I'm talking about dog men that were way back in the pedigrees in the days and stuff. And I watched them go at it, and it was funny because an older dog man sit me to the side. He say, "Sit right here with me." And we drank whiskey and get together and everything. He say, "Watch this." They ain't gonna say nothing to him. They had took their younger fraternity members' dog, and like one of the guys in the chat that said, wrote him out of the pedigree and used it, and he was giving them hell. And I watched it, and it's some people' favorite dog man, or dog men, and I watched it, and I was like, ooh, the integrity ain't there. And it was like, damn, why was that so big? With me sitting here with y'all right now, and we fellowshipping, and we sitting and eating and laughing, and we got our families gathered around the table and stuff. Ain't nothing going on with no dog. We just eating and having a good time barbecuing and everybody having a relationship. Why was it so big to you to write this man out of a pedigree and mess over him rather than just say, hey, yeah, give him credit? But like Schoolboy said earlier, and like Ram said, like we've been saying, ego it's a big thing.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes, sir.
I look at it. Now, some people might get mad by this, but this is how I judge shit, man. Like, because people always trying to pressure me, like my boys and shit. Like, oh man, because they know I collect shoes and sneakers and shit. Right? I got a lot of shoes that I don't even wear, but they be like, man, this website from China, man, they got this shit, man. You can get the shit look just like that, and it's $100 cheaper. Basically knockoffs, right? So I'm like, nah, I'm good, man. I just, what I'm saying? I just pay the full price for the shit I want, you know what I'm saying? But no, man, you can get the knockoffs, man. They cheap. They look just the same way. To me, the people who do shit like that, people who wear fake Rolexes, fake motherfucking jewelry, and fake goddamn shoes, that's the type of motherfucker that write up a fake ass pedigree to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. See, and all that, it matters to you, 7-8. That's who it matters to. It's not, how it's gonna look, or you could, get a better price or anything like that. It matters to you. You want the original shit. You want the real shit, and it should matter, But you're right. If they do that, if people do shady shit, in their other life, they're going to do that in the dogs, and vice versa. If they're that way in the dogs, they're that way in their other life too. Whether you're a businessman, a worker, a relationship, whatever it is, the dog don't make you different. You the same fucking way. It's just you doing dogs. You know.
Hey, I can say one more thing about like brother just said. I think it was Blackjack in the chat just said that's the reason why breedings don't work. You're absolutely right, because like I know of a breeding right now. I see, and it's alluding to what we were just saying. The dude don't give credit to who actually did the breeding. If he gave credit to actually who actually did the breeding, people could get to the root and ask, hey, what was the whole breeding really like? Instead of that one individual that you got that you bred off of, like, because I know these particular dogs had skin issues, hip dysplasia, immune system issues that one dog did not have that moved on. So if people started to actually see that shit down the line, then they would be like, oh, that's where that shit came from. So I know I don't need to go back that direction again. Oh, those dogs had little bitty tiny teeth. They got so inbred, and the blood, the way it came, it didn't come together right. They would know not to go that way again. So when you see dogs that are high caliber being bred together, those dogs are the exception and not the norm. So when they are bred together again, if the caliber is not really there all the time and the gene pool is not set with that type of caliber, then you start to see dogs that represent what the family truly is. And
Very
a
good
lot
point.
of times, that's what
Yeah.
people miss.
Yep. If you don't know what they are, what they coming from, then something happened. You don't know where to blame it. You don't know where it's coming from. That's another problem with faking peds and or even people not being honest. I got heart problems in my blood because it's inbred like a motherfucker, and they change the papers, or they just don't tell you, and then this shit starts popping up, and here you go back to like you said, it didn't work. Why didn't it work? You don't even know because they weren't honest with you. That's a good point.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. What's up, M Line? I see you in the building. What's up, Live Life Real, Lil Rock? What's up?
M-Line.
Yeah, that's my partner. My phone came in today too, bro. T-Mobile fucking took over Sprint and made me get one of their old funky ass phones with the little chip in it and shit now.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, you reminded me, I gotta go up to fucking Boost Mobile and switch out my daughter's phone they gotta put some new chip and some shit in there.
Yeah, that's how they did me, talking about it won't work on the network, and they wasn't lying, nigga.
Yeah,
That shit didn't let me send no text, nothing. Like, motherfucker, stick them up.
right. Salute, Lil Rock. I see you in the building, bro. Salute to you. He says, hey, what are you guys, what you guys think about putting the owner's name on the dog's pedigree?
I would, how I did it, and it's just the real motherfucker in me, the G, the gangster, the neighborhood crip, all that old shit. I would leave his name as the breeder, but I will put my name on it as to not bring no heat directly to him if anything was to happen with me involving the dogs. You feel me? I wouldn't want it to be
100%
like
agree.
motherfucking Patrick's grand champion motherfucking dick meat sandwich. You feel? Because the first place they gonna go is to his fucking house. What's
Right.
going on over here, and put him in a fucked up position. He might not have known that I made this dog a grand champ. He might not even fucking like the fact that I made him a grand champ. You feel me?
Yeah.
So suppose the motherfucker showed up at his crib first, and he ain't got nothing to do with the dog other than being the breeder. That's not fair to him. That's why I would do it like that. Plus, I'm fucking feeding the dog, motherfucker, this white dog, especially if I bought him. If you gave him to me, I'm still gonna do that for the first reason. But if I bought him, fuck yeah, I'm taking that shit off. Regardless if I do anything with him or not, I paid for this motherfucker. I'm picking up his shit,
Yep.
getting his motherfucking medication, keeping this nigga alive. It's my dog. Same if I fucking marry your daughter. That's my bitch now. She belongs
God
to me right
damn.
now. Motherfucker.
Motherfucker, man.
Real asshole, man.
Hey, like in real life.
Hey, he honest though. Hey, Grant, what you say? Did I tell a lie? No, you didn't.
Stop me when I'm lying.
Shit.
Absolutely. What's up, Supreme Beast? What's up, my brother? I am Trill Will in the building. My brother, Main Event Mark. Salute all y'all in the building. All right.
Hey, hold on. Hey, Black Jack, is the dog you talking about the same name as you? Well, go ahead. You can answer that in the chat. Go ahead, bro. 7-8. My
Yeah.
fault.
What's your take on that, Mr. Garcia? The dog's
Well,
name. Whose
yeah,
name should be on the dog?
yeah, it comes up all the time, and there's something about breedings and pedigrees that people may not understand. But I'm like Ram. If the dog is mine, my name's going on it. If I sell the dog or I give it to you, you know, your name goes on it if you want. Even if it's a dog that I previously owned, and I give you the dog later on, you want to put your name on it, that's fine. I have 3 fucking names on it. But the way pedigrees work is whoever made the breeding, whoever owns the female, that's the breeder. It's simple. That's the breeder. The breeder's name don't have to follow every fucking dog that comes in his yard, because if he made the breeding, it's his bitch, that's the breeder. And after that, whoever makes breeding with that dog you gave away or sold, you're the breeder. So if you understand that much, then you know who made that dog. The breeder's name don't have to follow the pup that he sold, because his name is on the bitch. That's the way it was always done. People change it because a lot of times they leave it that way. They leave the breeder's name because it gives them clout. You know, this is so-and-so's whatever. He had nothing to do with that fucking dog. He didn't make him champion. He didn't breed him later on after he was sold. He didn't do none of that. So why is his name there? The only reason I think is because it gives him clout if I leave Maurice Carver's name on a dog I got from him. It ain't Carver's dog no more. It's my dog, you know. And if Carver made the breeding, you look at the bitch, it says Carver's whatever. You know he bred the dog. There's no 2 ways about it. You know, there's no mistaking it. So for me, you know, and a lot of people don't do this. They say, you know, you want to give them credit for all their hard work. They already have credit if it's their bitch. It's unmistakable, you know. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, they just want, you know, they want to say this is Carver's whatever, even though they own the dog, and it just gives the dog more clout. But you know, it works the other way too. What if the dog don't turn out? Now Carver's got his name on the fucking dog, and you know, it ain't Carver's dog, it's your dog. You know, that's how I look at it. So
100%
you know,
agree.
Yeah, if you have the bitch, you made the breeding, you're the breeder. No mistaking about it.
No,
I'll say this too. For me, with the whole thing, it's like this: if you bred that dog and you've been doing your own work, then your own work gonna stand up for itself. Your own name gonna stand up for itself. So you don't need your name on this one dog. That one dog, whatever that dog do, it's already gonna speak that hey, that dog came from this yard. If you sell that dog
Yep.
to that person and they do their work and they put that shit they name on it, they deserve that. They paid for it for one thing, and then for two, they put that work in. If all you did was stick 2 dogs together and look 2 dogs up, you didn't do nothing. If it just so happened to be that you're a pet love that just got in the game and lightning struck and bam, you made a great ass breed, you don't deserve no motherfucking fame for that one breed. You got that dog in the hands of a dog, man, and everybody acknowledging and recognizing what really happened. You are not experienced enough to have this. If you was experienced enough, if you was that person, if you was that dude, they'll already know it was understood. Ain't got to be explained. That's a real scene that carries some real weight. And it wouldn't have to be explained if you was that dude. So you don't need your name on them on them papers. I don't need my name on nobody papers or nobody shit to say, hey, if you know Eli, say, man, this how Eli conduct himself. This how Eli do himself. I ain't my ego ain't that big. I ain't fucked up about it. If I gave you a dog and you put your name on it, run with it.
Yep. Because the same thing, you know, if you get something from somebody, you go take it a different direction, the same direction, whatever you do, you make the breed. You're gonna want credit for it too. You know, you're not gonna want the old breeder's name on it if you done the work. You know, So that just that's how it should be. And I'm telling you, that's the way it was always done. They might have put the breeder's name in parentheses or something, but your name's on there, you know. And generally, that's why you see some dogs with 2 or 3 different names, because they were sold. And when that person got it, they even changed the dog's name, you know. If you're involved, then you know that even though they changed that dog's name, that's that dog. You know, people talk and people know what's going on. It's only 100 years later, you know, that you find out that dog, you know, if you don't know your history, you find out that dog, the dog with 2 different names, is the same dog, you know. But generally, that's how it was always done. The breeder keeps his name on the bitch. The owner, new owner, his name on it because he owns the dog. It's simple.
Okay, yes indeed. Schoolboy, guy in the chat, Ball Games wants to know from you, what did you think of the little Gator dogs?
They're rough, hard-mouthed dogs, you know. There's one negative, and I know them guys. I respect them all. I went into the Lionel back in the day, and they're good. All of them, you know, Jerry Wiseman, Rancherita Kennels, you know. They're some of them come out cold, but like you know, a lot of bloodlines, when you get a good one, them motherfuckers are good, and they're tough, and they're known for their mouth, you know, because they got mouth all in there. You know, you got Spike and you got Bully Son, Eli Jr., all that. You know, it's all Carver stuff, Carver Eli, if you want to call it, you know. And they just some bad motherfuckers. They're you look at them, they'll impress you if it's a good one, you know. But nothing wrong with them other than that one thing. That's just me. I don't like cold dogs. I don't use them.
Dog though, you know. So there it is. There you will see a lot of dogs off of DIBO that was cold, or what people thought was cold.
Yeah, late starters, and that transfers over. If you're looking at the Eli stuff or the Boudreaux stuff or whatever it is,
Hammonds.
Hammonds, back in the day, they were known to be late starters, 3-4 years old. You know, it's
And
just something in there. That's another one of them things. You know, if you don't like it, get rid of it.
Exactly.
If it don't fucking bother you, then I guess keep it.
If you don't like it because you're not patient enough to wait, then you shouldn't get nothing, because you're gonna have to wait on everything. You feel me?
Right. You know. So that, you know, there's that, and that's just the natural order of things. There's always good and bad. You're just trying to make it where the good overrides the bad by even a little bit, because that's improvement, you know. And you know,
a little bit is a lot. A little bit goes a long way. If you could get the bad out and keep it out, you fucking way ahead of the curve, bro. Trust me.
Yep, that's it. And you get, let's say you have cold dog in your blood, and from that point on, you don't use no cold dogs. I guarantee you'll get to the point where you don't have no more fucking cold dogs.
Yep.
And it's going to take some time, and you got to weed it out. And if you do, don't use it. But eventually, it's gonna switch to the other side, where rather than cold dogs popping up here and there, you're gonna have none, or you're gonna have one every once in a while. And just an example, I never used cold dogs. I never had cold dogs. Never. My buddy who has my blood, same thing. He didn't produce them. They weren't in there, so he never had none. Again, they're gonna start. They might not all stay, but at least that's one factor you don't have to fucking deal with. That whole shit, you know. And it's not to say they don't throw good dogs. Cur dogs throw good dogs, but so what? You can have all that without having those 2 things that I talk about it all day and all night and forever. Those 2 things that I hate: cur dogs and cold dogs. I just won't use it. And that's no disrespect to my buddies out there. They know how I feel about it. They do their thing their way, and I did my thing my way. But I can say that I didn't have no cold dogs.
I made that mistake one time and bred to a cold dog, and then I found out, like you said, that there were other cold dogs around there. And the thing was, is the guy had got into selling dogs. I won't say his name because I see him in here every once in a while. He had got into selling dogs, and the dogs were stacked up, and it was multiple generations of cold dogs, and that
Yeah.
was the worst breeding that I ever did. But that wasn't a reflection of that. It goes back to what we were just talking
Yeah.
about the breeder and the family. That wasn't a reflection of the person that actually created that family, because those actual dogs were known to be very solid dogs, very, very well rounded dogs, and very durable. But from this particular person that had just got those dogs and was just selling the dogs off of that name and doing breedings off of that name, he couldn't do it the same way because he had got dogs that were not that, but he didn't care. He was just interested
Small
in
blood
breeding
is
dogs off of that name.
the
That's
blood
true.
is there.
Exactly.
Feed 'em.
That's true.
The
Again,
standard wasn't there.
right. Again, talking about Eli dogs. They're known to be man biters. It's in them.
Hmm.
It comes out. Well, I know people
Hmm.
heavily inbred them. Mr. Ledesma in Mexico, heavily inbred.
Hmm.
He never had man biters. But he
I never
bred to
had a
his
man
stuff,
bite.
didn't have man biters. And that shit is known for
Hmm.
that. But depending on the
Hmm.
breeder, whether he called them
Hmm.
early or he didn't put that in there, whatever it was, he didn't have them. And that blood is known for that. That's one of their
Hmm.
things. But that's what a breeder can do. You can eliminate as much as possible. And I'm sure if he ever did get one, he wouldn't have kept it. I've been around them dogs. I've seen them this and that. You can handle them easy, man. And they wound for sound. They're vicious, mean, nasty, but they ain't gonna bite you. Even in the corner, they don't. So that's just
Well, I did have one like that.
yeah.
Hey, yeah, I did have one like that. Bitch, let me go. Hey, but no,
Yeah,
hey, like one thing that you were saying, like you were saying about the little spike dogs, man, the little spike dogs, their tenacity, which is what the breed is and game is, and their tenacity and drive, like I love, but that not having that shiftiness and not having that smarts about themselves and sometimes having that bad air issue were like the knocks for me. But when you found a good one that could just really put it together and just cock strong and shit, have that nice mouth, the nice durability to them and game and just that drive and did, you found something beautiful that was a
yeah,
relentless like
yeah,
machine, you know.
yeah,
And the Bama Red Dogs were just like that. I had the Bama Red Dogs, and that's why I was telling you when I was telling you earlier we crossed the Bama Red with the old Buster and Cotton's Bullet stuff, and you got the smarts and everything, and it was a more shiftier dog that was more deliberate and like could slow that roster say like Boone say, you know, me and him both say that poise. I love poise in an animal.
yeah, yeah. That there's probably the two most famous little gator dogs are Black Angel and Angel. And most people
Hmm.
talk about Black Angel, he was a killer and all that stuff. But Angel, my buddy said he was the hardest biting dog he ever seen. And I asked him why. He said, Richard, he just broke shit up. He just broke it up. And he beat
What
champions.
about?
Danny Burton conditioned him, just
Mhm.
an impressive dog. That's what you can get with that line of dog. That's why people like it, whether it's the LG stuff or the Petrie stuff or BB Red and all them. That's what
Mhm.
impresses me. They just hard rough motherfuckers, man.
What about Quavo?
About what?
Cuervo.
Same thing. I asked them. They told me he's probably the best producer off of Little Gator.
Exactly. That's why I picked him when the question was asked. I chose that. Like that's when
Yeah,
if I was to get some
yeah,
of that shit, he would have to be the influence of that blood.
yeah, yeah,
That's why I had to ask.
yeah. That even some of them go distance. Like Chido, he won. Dr. Rojas, rest in peace. He won in over 2 hours. Negrita BBK had her. I think. She's a two-time winner. I think. So that litter or those some of them breedings, it wasn't just one dog. There were more than a
Yeah,
few.
Cuervo, Annie, and the Annie
Annie,
bitch.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. She was a good producer, man. her, and she
Yeah,
was,
the
you know,
Ickies. Somebody
if
just
you
brought
want
up the Ickies.
the what?
The Ickies blood.
Okay, yeah, Ickis, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah, just like the what's his name? Shit, I think it's in one of the questions. It'll come up.
All right. Salute to Dogman RT in the super chat, showing love and support. Thank you, family. He says, great show. Thank you, bro.
Salute.
All right, let me get to this question here. What was the Cardina slash
That's the
Morphin?
one. Yeah.
Yeah, Cardina slash Morphin strain of dogs. Like, how do they differ from the Bully Son Bodru dogs in America? Mr. Garcia, you can take that one.
Yeah. Well, in my mind, this is what they were doing is that morphine stuff, the booger stuff, two fowler, red lady, all that stuff was the gameness part. And the other stuff, you know, what's the guy's name? Guard of the Nuts, you know, the T-Bud, Boudreaux, Eli, and all that. That was the athletic part, you know. Not saying that one or the other didn't have gameness or weren't athletic, but in my mind, that's what they were doing. That's what you do, you know. Sometimes one lacks something, or what you want to introduce something different or whatever. Put them together, bam. The only difference I would say is that the Mexicans have had that stuff since the 60s, and they kept it. They're real competitive. They have it. They use it. You know, I seen some of it. You know, and I can't remember the dog's name. It was so long ago. You know, the Cardina stuff. You know, that to make a comparison, they're you know, style wise and all that. They're basically the same. It's just who has it and what they do with it. You know, there's, you know, for me, if I see a dog and it's a Bully Son dog, you know, back then I could tell. You can tell that's a Bully Son dog by the way they look, their structure, the way they perform, how they bite, their intensity. You know, that's what it is. And a lot of the Mexican dogs, they're the famous dogs that we had up here, like Rascal and Bully Son and Eli Jr., Midnight Cowboy and Shy, all them dogs. They had either litter mates to them dogs or they had offspring from them dogs. You know, there were 4 in Bully Son's litter. I forget the other bitch's name. There was Eli Jr., Bully Son, and Brandy. There's another sister that went to Mexico. Midnight Cowboy's sister went to Mexico. Rascal's sister went to Mexico. You know, Hunter Red, which is Satchmo Bully, Satch, Long's baby, and Long's Tuffy litter mate. He went to Mexico. You know, so they basically had the same stuff. It's just that you know, they did however they did with their blood, and here in the U.S. they did how they did, but the stuff is similar. I don't know enough to know if there was that much difference in the style and structure and all that. Because like I said, the ones I seen, shit, that's what it is. I went to a convention. There was 2 of them look just like Midnight Cowboy or Stomper because they're similar, short, squatty, long, like that. And I asked my buddy, how them dogs bred? He goes, how you think they're bred? I said, shit, they're Midnight Cowboy or Stomper. He goes, that's what they are. And this was 30 years after them dogs was around. And a lot of them do heavy inbreeding. But, you know, the living conditions for the dogs in Mexico, sometimes they're harsh. And the dogs are harsh. It makes them tough, you know. And that's why they have the quality they have. Because they're almost like Spartans, man. All they think about, like I was talking before, is matching dogs and having good dogs and rolling dogs and conventions and all that stuff. So they have that standard, that high standard, because they're real competitive, you know, back like you know, in the U.S. from the fucking 30s to the 90s or 2000, whatever it is, you know, a lot of competition, a lot of, you know, there's a lot of people that had that Eli stuff or the Eli Carver stuff. It was everywhere, man, and people used it from the West Coast, East Coast, North and South, you know. And I don't know how it is now because, you know, you can't do shit like that. But I don't know if there's a big difference between either one of them. Maybe there is.
Hey, let me ask you something, schoolboy, on that topic. Do you think that it has something to do with more more the dogs that were in Mexico seem to have more the Eli Maloney cross in them
Yeah, yeah,
versus you more versus
yeah,
more the Carver cross here? You
yeah. Because
a lot.
I'll say this, that they were limited in their dogs. They only got certain ones. There wasn't a big variety of dogs. You know, if
mm-hmm.
there was Eli or Carver or Maloney, you know, the booger stuff, and Bolio, you know, but
Bird.
they didn't have all the you know, the Colby Lightner, you know, the, like you're talking about, the uh
Mm-hmm.
uh, uh you know, the Hetrick stuff, or they didn't have no
The Z.
Komisinski stuff, or you know, they had the
Mm-hmm.
Z, you know,
Mm-hmm.
heavy, but it was just maybe several Bloodline. It wasn't like a big variety, which maybe that's an advantage for the U.S. You know, you had different shit. We had Kingship stuff and ZEBO and all that, you know, where they might have had a little bit, but not like here, you know. They were limited, and they probably did that on purpose, you know. They only wanted certain ones. They set in their ways, and that's what they liked, and that's what they got. But
That's what I was alluding to.
yeah,
It seemed I didn't mean to cut you off. It seemed
no, that's
like
all right.
they utilized more of what they knew was the Maloney crosses and more what they knew was the Ed Crenshaw crosses, which
Right.
were dog men in their own standard that were known for looking for gamers, that were looking for cleaner bloodlines, that
Yeah.
they knew what they were looking
Exactly. And a lot of that had to do, you know, they come to conventions up here and they'd see, you know,
for.
they were buddies with Carver and Boudreaux and Whitzel and Ken
Mm-hmm.
Click and, you know, all them Texas guys, you know, and Louisiana
Mm-hmm.
guys, and then the Oklahoma guys with the booger, you know, the Spike Black Widow or Diamond Black Widow or Zeke Black Widow, you know, the Bolio stuff. They had Handicap or Goras, which is Bolio's brother down there, you know, and that
Mm-hmm.
old Ed Crenshaw stuff, you know, and that's what they were familiar with. That's what they liked. That's what they saw, and that's, you know, to them, I think, like, you know, it don't get no better, so we're just gonna stick with this shit, you know, kind of like that.
When I first came around, I remember the guys used to talk about the Eli Maloney crossing, like that shit was different than the regular Eli Snooty up here. You
Yeah,
know, it was like the Snooty was supposed to correct that barnstorming and was supposed to get the smarts and kind of add the poise to it a little, kind of slow the pace down a little bit, you know, so you don't blow out your keep or whatever. But the
right.
Maloney dogs, they didn't take away from them. They added the smarts. They added that, and like the old Lightner stuff, same thing. And when you talk about, like you were talking about Gardas and all that, it was, I had a picture of Morphin's Gardas. I think I sent to y'all in the group one for Ram and 78, but it's that difference in those dogs where you don't lose bone structure, where you don't lose that mean streak or nothing like that. You don't lose that poise. Where
Yeah,
that's a lot of what people search for in mixing Eli dogs. But a lot of times the thing that they gotta realize is everybody that you mess with in Mexico is not gonna have that particular strain. That they not gonna have that eye that morphine had, and they not gonna give you what you think. So it's, you can't just chase the bloodline. You got to make sure you know the right people.
yeah, true. Because they, you know, them guys, they're kind of like we were back in the day. They don't really let their blood out. They don't let just anybody have it. They don't sell dogs. They don't, you know, like that. They keep it tight. And those Maloney dogs, you know, we talk about gameness all the time. They were the epitome of gameness. Unbelievable gameness. And you know, they realize that. And Mexicans love art. And when they saw that, I think, you know, in their mind, same thing with Opio, with Boras and all that. Them dog were fucking game. So put that with the athleticism, hard bite, bone structure, all that stuff, you get a complete athlete. And you know, they're tough to beat. But they don't even today, I would guess some of them might, but most of them, they're not gonna let their dogs out. You know, I know
No.
Tacho Morphine. They got their group and all that. I don't think they've ever sold a dog. Maybe give some away, but they're just, they have that mindset, you know. They don't let it out, man. They ain't going to, and it's been around for shit decades, you know. You still see it. If you go down there today, probably, and you saw them die, you can say that's a fucking bird. That's, I know I did 15 years ago, you know. That's a booger dog right there, you know. That's a bully son dog, you know.
I always like when I looked at dogs, people that you can see something different in their dogs. Like for me, the old Sorrells dogs, Morphine and Cardenas, Bill and Club, their dogs had a different look to them. The old school durable look, but at the same time, athlete, strong. Like you could see it. TDK's old dogs, you know, you could see a difference. You know, everybody can't breed and keep that durability, the size, the ranginess, the athletic ability, and everything all intact. That's a lost art itself. You get a lot of dogs that are slim, sleek, and they fast, or you get a lot of dogs that are big and they really don't like that look, that form, the function type thing. I think that's something too that are in those Mexican dogs, where that form and that function that carries real good.
Yeah, they're hard on their. They were anyways. I don't know about now, but they were hard on their dogs, man. They do shit. There's one. Elise was his name. Came up in the chat. According to the caption under his picture and the stories I heard, they started matching him at 9 months old. He was a 9-time winner, you know. And it's not. It wasn't. You know, it wasn't something that they, you know, they would start their dog 6 months old, you know, and 8 months old like that, and you know, match them in a year and a half or 12, whatever. That they used to do that, you know, because they were hard on them, and the history, the ancestry of them, they were tough dogs. It's almost like that's their lifestyle, you know. So it's the same thing with their dog. They weren't easy on them, you know. There wasn't no second chances, and they wasn't the type to, you know, oh well, you know, maybe he not that good, I'm gonna use it. They didn't do that. If they weren't, but they considered a good dog, they wasn't gonna fuck with it, you know.
Yes, indeed. Salute, everybody in the chat. I see you in here, Quee. Salute to you. What's happening, Five? I see you in the building. Wolfie Study, salute to you. And much love to Blessed Two Fish in the super chat, showing love. Appreciate the support, man. He says, salute to the chat. Much respect. I've trained dogs for bite work, explosives, and narcotic detection since 1995. Says, I love getting breeder expertise on dogs. He says, blessings to all of you. Thank you, brother. Appreciate the support. That's a nice badge you got there, too, in that picture. I think that's a badge.
Yeah. I'll bring that up in a question later about the bite work. It's going to be interesting. But I had a buddy in Panama, rest in peace, John. He had a security business, so he had mals, and he had pit bulls too. His female pit bull was top drug sniffing, narcotic sniffing dog in all of South America and Central America. She was a bad bitch. She never missed a lick. And you know, if you like that kind of stuff, if you see them dogs work, it's impressive, because the way they're trained and the way they produce results, you know, you're like, how the fuck? It could be one grain of fucking dope and they'll find it.
Yeah.
And you know, I have a lot of respect for those type of dogs. You know,
yeah.
He was expert with them fucking, and it was all hand signals and voice commands. Even the pit bull, he could have her off lead, and he had other ones he could have them off lead. You know, and he was a dog guy too, so he looked at them too when they were doing that work, whether it was redirecting their train of thought or whatever it was. They did that work, and that was all they fucking did. And he gave demonstration down there, and it wasn't even dope. He didn't even use dope. It was some piece of meat or something, little tiny fucking thing. And he had it in a like in a field. We're in a field, and he had it out there. The fucking dog found it, man. You know, and you know, that's what they do. So salute to you, brother. That them good dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me see if I get the brother name right this time. Is it Hermes or Herms, teacher? Salute to you in the
Hermes. You said it right.
Herms.
Hermes,
No,
Hermes.
Hermes.
Okay,
yeah,
Hermes.
Hermes.
Okay,
it's like Sherm. No, I think it's Hermes.
okay.
I
Hermes.
don't know if I don't know if it has anything to do with it. Hermes was a Greek god. I think Hermes is Cupid,
Yeah, yeah.
or the one that runs or something. I
Yeah.
forget.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's it.
Salute to you in that super chat, brother. He says, historically speaking, how influential to the breed does the panel think the Eli Carver Red Boy cross was? Let me start with you, Ram.
Shit, I never ran that cross, so it wasn't too influential to me, but it was some good dogs in there, you know. Fucking shit, the Eli Carver Red Boy, that's the mem stuff, and a few other breeders did that cross. It worked, you know. As of recent, I seen some bum motherfuckers with it, lying on they shit, so I don't know how good they shit is, and I probably, if I was in the dogs, couldn't pay me to feed one of them motherfucking porridge soup eating ass dogs that motherfucker over there feeding. You feel me? But other than that, you know, shit, it's good and bad and everything. You know, I ain't seen a bunch of it, but it's motherfuckers who would swear by that shit and love it to death. That don't mean they wrong and I'm right or I'm right and they wrong. It's just dogs is funny like that. We could have litter mates and your litter mate is ass and produce ass and mine is the motherfucking goods. Shit happens like that, you know. But as a whole, yeah, it's pretty good dogs if you find them, you know, the right ones, from what I heard from the people who had them. But other than that, I don't really come from a state where we didn't have to import a lot of shit, man. You know, the shit we did import was just because motherfuckers wanted to try it. It wasn't because it was essential or a need to, because we was running out of dogs out here, like home of fucking DIBO. We really don't need shit.
Real shit.
Well, how you feel about that, Eli?
I think they had a great impact on the dogs. I think they had a good impact on the dogs. When I think of Eli Carver Red Boy, I think of the Jeep Tab, Rascal, and Red Boy crosses. I don't just think of just a like a what would you say, like a DSK and Jake Redbone type cross or something like that. I don't just think of things like that. I think of uh, uh, the Eli Carver being the Jeep Rascal Red Boy Cross, the Jeep Rascal Niggerino. My buddy used to always tell me, man, in the mid '90s to early 2000s, like everything had a quarter of Niggerino in it that was really in the SDJs that was really just doing that thing. And we used to talk about that all the time. And he's like, man, I just noticed, like he was studying a pattern and he actually put a breeding together where he did like a quarter Niggerino, quarter Bolio, and then he had a Jeep dog that good dogs, not just regular, just throwing together a pedigree or nothing like that, but good stuff. He threw it, he put it together, and it was natural. It was a nice little thing. But that was something that he noticed that he liked. So it's when you say Eli Carver, Red Boy, that could account for so many things. Because as soon as you go Mayday with a little touch of Jeep, you got Eli Carver, Red Boy. You know, as soon as you go Mayday with a little bit of Bolio, you got Eli Carver, Red Boy, not Bolio, Balls. Let's say, you know, you got that. A lot of people, I used to fuck with people all the time and be like, it's some Eli behind even Mayday because behind Rowdy it was that little bit of Eli ZEBO touch that was back there. But you can say that for so many breeds, you know, but the reality of it is the biggest thing is I always get to know the dog man. It's the dog man, not those bloodlines, not those crosses. It's the dog man that created. The dog man behind the dog to me says a lot. The standard. It's always the standard that they have. It'll show the percentages. It'll show the consistency. It'll show the dog.
Yes, sir. Mr. Garcia, your take?
Yeah, well said, Eli. That matters most. Who has the dogs and what they're doing with them. You know, the Eli Carver stuff is older than me. You know, and it's one of the most popular, one of the most used everywhere in the country and overseas and all that. You know, I would guess I never seen that three-way cross, but a three-way cross like that is can be very effective. I never seen the Eli Carver Red Boy, but I would guess, you know, on paper you throw in the Colby in there. Because Carver has the Ed Crenshaw stuff, that's Colby Lightner. It matches up with the Eli. You got the DIBO stuff, so it's just they're just repeating what was previously done, whether they realize it or not. So you know, I could see how it could work. Main thing is like Eli said, who has them and what they're doing. That matters more, you know, than any pedigree, you know, and keeping track, knowing your percentages, knowing your having consistency like that, you know. I could see it working. I know some Red Boy dogs went down to Mexico, but I never see them in ped, so I don't know what happened, you know. It could be they didn't tell nobody, you know.
Because you don't see that in a lot of pedigrees, man.
No,
like
no.
That should make you think they didn't like Red Boy dogs or something, but it's a lot.
It's either that it didn't work for them, or they don't want people to know it's in there. Because I've seen some, even as, you know, 10, 15 years ago, you know, and I asked, what's that? Well, he's Boudreaux, Eli, he's this and that. I said, well, that looks like a fucking Red Boy dog. Nah, he ain't got no bullshit, you know.
Look just like baby.
Yeah, look like bingo and shit. And you got all these black dogs, and all of a sudden you got a red nose coming out, which that can happen, I guess, you know. But it just, you know, don't never think that because someone's from somewhere else, they didn't do the same bullshit that people in the U.S. did. So it's that way all over the fucking world, man. You know.
Schoolboy, you know, technically Big Red was that cross, was that Eli Carver Red.
That's what it was. People call him a Jeep dog because I had Jeep dogs and that was my foundation. He's not a Jeep dog really. He's only a quarter Jeep. He's half Red Boy. But you're right, that's what that was. Technically with the Miss Rage and you know, the Jeep and all that, and with the Red Boy, that's what it is. The Eli Carver Red Boy cross, you know. So I guess I flubbed on that one. My fucking shit was that. I didn't even think about it till you mentioned it.
Hell yeah.
So yeah. Looking at it that way, yeah, that's what it was. I guess I did see one or two.
Yeah. You know, us youngsters, sometimes we get into our pedigrees and stargazing, so we notice those little things every once in a while.
Yeah. Now, just if it was my wife, she'd say, "You're stupid, man. You can't remember your own shit." You know.
Hey, you know, today I just thought about that. I said, "You starting to forget shit." I started to think about different rules and different stuff. Damn, was that like that? I'm getting old.
Yeah. People say, "Man, you're like an encyclopedia of bullshit. I can't remember nothing." You know,
until you jog my memory. Yeah, you jog my memory.
Yeah.
I forget more than most people know.
Yeah, that's a good thing about talking, because that happens to me a lot too. You know, I'll ask, we'll be talking about something, and I'll tell them, "Well, remind me what is it?" Then the memory comes back. You know, and like I mentioned, Lionel. You know, he gave me this whole rundown how we went into each other. I could not remember, man. And you know, your dog took my dog's muzzle off. This is a badass fight. This and that. I could not remember. This was probably 40 years ago. So I mentioned to my son. He goes, "Yeah, Dad. Yeah, our dog went in. He took the dog's muzzle off. This and that. You don't remember?" Fuck, no, I don't. You know. So that happens. You know.
Hey, you just reminded me of something, because a lot of my knowledge, it comes from people be like, "Oh, hey, you got a lot of knowledge. You know this." But a lot of my knowledge comes from watching what y'all have and thinking about old stuff. That SBC, I'm gonna look up what you said earlier. I watched in the chat and I saw you say that females are born with all the eggs that they're gonna produce, and males produce sperm every day. Quote. I'm gonna look that shit up, because
all mammals are like that. You know.
Well, that's what I've been told. You know.
So
one of the reasons why when bitches get old, they can't throw pucks no more. Just one of them. But yeah, I've been told that too.
I gotta research that now.
Yeah, just Google it. Google it. Yeah.
Some fucking old bitches, you can still breed. So if you out there fucking on grannies, you still might want to pull out.
Fucking Ramsey true.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's true. My buddy has his youngest kid is 23 years old. They have a 6-year-old kid after him. They didn't think she could have
Wow.
babies no more. And
Yeah, see, that's old man, baby. She probably look old already.
yeah, yeah.
That's how that shit works. So if you got like
Man,
an
they
old,
say old babies look old in the mouth.
his daddy ain't who his daddy is. His daddy some old sugar daddy.
Yeah, yeah. Never know.
His daddy named Cleophas, not Tyrone.
Yeah.
His name Charles.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Right. Right. Salute to Zachariah 23 in the super chat. Much love, much appreciation, fam. Says, what's the oldest dog the panel ever owned or seen?
That's my dog I got right now. Be the oldest that I've ever owned, and she's 16 years old. My old fat dog Peaches, my old house dog. She's 16 off of Grand Champion Tackleberry to Gigabyte. That bitch old. The oldest dog I've seen though was like 20 years old. And that motherfucker was old, like but he was still, he had one left. You get close enough to see, he gonna go for it.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what about you, Mr. Garcia?
Oldest dog.
Yeah, I had Big Red for about 10 years before I sold him, and then he lived to be 15. I had some that were, up to 12. But I think Tab or one of them, I think he lived to be 19 years old or something. He was carrying him around. He couldn't walk no more. You had to carry him out to go to the bathroom and all that. That's what I heard. They have pictures of him. So, I think the average is about 15. That's an old dog. For pit bulls, a lot of times, because of the circumstances, they don't live that long. But, other breeds, man, they 14, 15. My daughter had a little mutt. He lived to be 16. But pit bulls, yeah, they can get up there in age, Health, vitality, what you feed them, their living conditions, environment, all that aids in their age, the length that
good
they can
aftercare
live.
too. Like aftercare is important.
Yeah, exactly.
You can put one together and they can recover real fast. That'll take a lot of the fucking wear and tear off of your dog.
Yes, sir.
Most definitely. For me, the oldest one I had a dog named Mac. That was my buddy. I had him from the time I was a teenager to the time I was 32 years old, and he was like 14 years old, and that was my buddy. I cried like a baby when he died. My wife, she half-ass laughed, but then half-ass she cried with me, But that was my buddy. He died, and I buried him. That was one of the only dogs that I buried. But then I bred to a dog that was 14, 15 years old and had 14 puppies off of him. And I had to hold him in. And you were saying that earlier, talking about how the older dogs, that's the only time I ever seen puppies come out with like a translucent belly. Like the dogs were not fully developed. And I thought it had something to do with him being that much older and his sperm, and those dogs were not fully developed, and like the whole litter ended up passing out. The bitch, she had mastitis, but the dogs just were not fully developed at all.
Yeah. Could be. The research is not there. You know what I'm saying? The research for it is not there.
Mm-hmm. It is something common though that a lot of people have discussed, and a lot of people feel that genetically, like the environment affects genetics. That's something that we all agree on for the most part. And a lot of people say like that environmental change, that whole lifestyle change for older dogs, they don't put the same thing into their pups as they used to. And I agree. But I did have a good ass male that I bred to, that I ended up owning, the one that I was talking about earlier that still had Homer and Sunday. His dad was 17 years old when they bred him, and he was a product of that. And I think he had like two brothers, or a brother and a sister that also came off of that breeding, and they had pictures up of it. And otherwise, I wouldn't have believed it. But yeah, he came from that. And he was a nice dog, but the one thing about it was, like you said earlier, those dogs were slower starting.
Yeah, yeah. It's just something, you know, like I said, in my own small world, it's something that I noticed. And I know game fowl people, they do the same thing. They won't breed their hens after 4 years, 5 years, you know, they just won't. The cocks maybe 8 years old. And you know, they can get quicker results because the birds don't live that long. They don't live as long as a dog or an elephant like that, you know. So they can see the results faster than we can. You know, the feed
I love
has
to.
has a lot to do with it too, you know. And
Hmm.
here's something
Yep.
that people, again, they don't agree with. You know, they say older dogs don't need more as much protein. I say they need
Hmm.
more protein. That's fact.
Hmm.
That's me. And it comes from, you know, if you are a dialysis patient or as you get older, you go to the doctor, they tell you to eat more protein, you know. And people
They need
say,
more protein. Go
yeah,
ahead. I'm sorry.
yes,
Go
sir.
ahead.
Yeah, yeah. That's what they recommend. My wife is an in-home
So,
caretaker,
you know,
and with
muscle deterioration starts to occur in older dogs.
Exactly.
Don't produce the
yeah,
same amount of testosterone as they did
right,
to
right.
their muscles full.
Yeah, that's where
Another
I was
point,
going with it.
yeah. Another point is
Mm.
people say too much protein fucks up your dog's kidneys. It don't. You can't over protein a dog. The only negative effect it'll have on their kidneys if they already have a kidney problem. You guys can search that, Google it. I've known that for years. Too much protein ain't good just because it's too much. But as far as hurting your dog's kidneys or hurting your dog, it don't affect them that way. Unless they have a pre-existing kidney problem, then it will. That
Yep.
I'm gonna get a lot of argument. A lot of people ain't gonna agree, but just that's why I think Big Red lived to be 15 years old because he went through the ringer. I used to put him on his offspring and other dogs when he was 8, 9 years old. Man, I'd roll him because at, at, at that age, 13 years old, he didn't have no gray hairs. He looked like a 5-year-old dog. And a lot of it again has to do with that nutrition and, like you said, aftercare and all that, and their environment, how you raise them. You know, he was never sick, never had parvo or corona, none of that. That was popular. That was rampant back then. Never caught none of that. So that feed and vitality and youth, it makes a difference in the longevity of your dog, the mortality of your dogs, and it's just something to think about.
I'm big on feed and nutrition because, like you said, it's not the protein. The thing of it is the breaking and tearing of muscles and all those fibers that sit on the kidneys that start to actually break a dog down. And that's not something that happens a lot of times to an older dog. That's
Right.
something that a lot of people talk about, the hitting the heat walls and all that stuff that happens in younger dogs that start to build up a toxicity. So it's not something that happens a lot in older dogs. That actual protein and the type of proteins, like feeds that have lamb and beef, like cow and stuff in them, for me are more vital to older dogs because the creatine, the little small amount that you'll get from a dog food, but versus more so a raw feed type deal, getting older dogs that a little amount of creatine that they need because it takes 2 pounds of creatine to actually get 5 grams of fucking I mean 2 pounds of red meat to actually get 5 grams of creatine.
Yeah.
But to actually get that type of feed into an older dog to help build and recover their muscles and keep their muscles going, and an older male to help that testosterone level be up to par and everything. Like that's big, and a lot of people don't understand because if you take my word for something and I just tell you, hey, feed this, do this, do this, do this, and I don't break down the actual science to you, and you don't actually go study and look, then it's worthless to you because you're
That's
not
right.
gonna actually understand what the hell you're doing. That's why a lot of times I'll tell y'all half-ass information, and I hope that y'all will go understand. Try to reach and look for understanding. If you're not looking for understanding, then I'm gonna tell you right now, you probably have good results, but you're not gonna have the best results. The people that actually If I tell you something about nutrition, Ram, no. Me and Ram just started sounding like we was in a fucking science class one day. We was talking and texting back and forth to each other, and it was like, "Well, Ram, you'll do this because of this, not this." Well, he's like, "But I've been doing this, and they look like this," and I like, "But Ram, if you do this," and it was like, "Oh, okay. Well, let me see." And then a month later, Ram don't just take my fucking. That's why I fuck with Ram. He don't take my word. He ain't gonna take what you say. He actually put it into action and come back and say, "Bro, I see what you were saying." That shit make a difference. Y'all stop taking people word for what they say that some shit just work, and actually go study and actually learn, do the research, and actually look at something and figure it out. Like a lot of things that old dog man tell you.
I would know that if you was telling the truth or not. It's not like I don't believe you, but I don't want to see for my.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that. I would expect you to do that if I told you. And if your
Yeah.
results don't add up with mine, shit, maybe I'm doing something wrong, you know?
Yeah,
A lot
no,
of
good
old
point.
dog men got a lot of knowledge. They got a lot of knowledge that they pass on, but you don't know why they did what they did. So you'll either discredit it or you'll do it without actual knowledge of why you're doing it, and you may overdo it. So actually, go with now. We have like even schoolboy just said earlier, Google. When I was talking about the females and having the egg, you were like Google it. Like shit. Start researching, start looking, man. Y'all got too much information at the tips of y'all fingers.
Yep, good point. I tell people that all the time. Don't believe me? Go test it. Go find out and see. And when you Google something, sometimes people and they'll look at the first thing, and that's the information they get. You can't do that. You got to scroll down. You got to look at this. Look at Merck. Look at Merck veterinary shit. Look at even what's that? It's a medical Mayo Clinic. You know, because a lot
Yeah.
of the things that dogs and people, a lot of it is they have a commonality to them, you know, because we're both
Hmm.
mammals, and they use a lot of research that they get from dogs and compare it to humans because they're it's not just that we're mammals, but the way we think and the way we have family and the way we, communicate, have a commune, you know, there's commonalities and all that. That's why they use dogs so much comparing to humans. But don't believe what I say just offhand like that, because it may not work for you, and I may not be explaining it right, or I may not getting it across to you. But go and test everything from the keeps, all that. It may be something you don't even like. Don't use it. Just because I said to use it and it worked for me doesn't mean you have to use it. You might find a different way. But research all the way around. And a lot of times when you're Googling and you see something, if you scroll down, you'll see an advertisement. When you see that advertisement, I would take that shit with a grain of salt, because they're pushing a product. They're pushing something that they want you to buy. So their research is limited. They're going to make it look like this is the bomb, this is the shit, because that's a product they're pushing. You know, whether you
Hmm.
get into organic and like that, all that, do your research and find out.
Same way your doctors will just give you some drugs because
That's right.
they get sponsorship from
Yeah,
I
yeah.
if y'all
Or
ask me
they're invested in that company, so
yeah.
they're gonna push it. You know,
Yeah. If y'all
that's
ask
how
me
it
a
works.
question, if y'all ask me a question and I don't know the answer, I'm really gonna go do the research for y'all. Y'all feel free to ask me a question. If I don't know the answer, I promise you I'm gonna go do the real research for y'all. I'm not gonna sit up here and give you an answer that's bullshit because I don't want you to come back and call me a goddamn liar because I ain't no
Yeah,
lying motherfucker.
yeah. I don't have to look smart. I don't mind not knowing, because we all learn.
Exactly.
And if I don't know something, I'll tell you I don't know. And
Hmm.
you can find it out somewhere else, or I'll check it out, and see what I come up with. And
Yeah.
we'll come to some point, but always test it. Even a lot of people respect older dog guys, and they should. But just because they have a name or they're successful or whatever doesn't mean that they know everything that comes up. You know, and it's not no disrespect if you go and check them and see if they're telling the truth or not. That's what you should do. That's your responsibility. You should do that.
Yes, indeed. Salute to Lil Rock in the super chat. Much love, much appreciation. He says, try to call you earlier. Yeah, check your text messages, Lil Rock. I don't know if you get text messaging on your phone, but I text you right when you tried to call me. He says, I called Karada, who owned Grand Champion Karada. He says he has agreed to join the panel week after next. He says, would love to have him on, and once the panel starts adding him. Yeah, I'd love to interview him. Yeah, love to do an interview with him, man. You know what I mean? Before we put him on the panel, we'd love to interview with him and see if he's even okay with that. But yeah, for sure, we'll definitely do that. I'll get his info from you and definitely set up an interview. Let me see here. Joe Jenkins in the super chat. Much love, much appreciation, family. He says, enjoying the show. Appreciate it, fellas. Salute, salute.
Salute to you. Thank you.
Let's see here. Okay. All right. Let's do one more question because we've been on here cooking for a long ass time. Let's see here. One more question. Let me get to this one. In the past, how did the panel members house a dog that was in keep? Let me start with you, Ram.
Bring that motherfucker in the house. That's why it's important to crate train your shit too. You know, crate train, house train them. Don't just have no dogs out there in the kennel on the chain. You know, bring them in for that exact reason because you don't want to be cleaning up fucking shit and piss in the middle of the night. So yeah, I'll just bring them in the house. And shit, it's always, you know, quiet in the house in the spot I would keep them in. Like I just lock them in a dark room with gunpowder food or nothing. But I just, you know, put them in my fucking study. You know, I don't got no cave. I ain't no goddamn cave, man. I got studies. You feel me? I'll put them in my study and just, you know, let them chill. Cut the TV on for them, you know, make sure they was comfortable, all that shit. But in the crate, not just chilling on my fucking couch or on my goddamn desk. No crazy shit. But yeah, I just, you know, let them chill. And then, you know, when dinner come and shit, I would feed them with the family or just let them out, you know, when the kids come home from school, all that shit. So they get that good interaction, socialization. Because, you know, they used to being on the yard and barking motherfuckers out. You got to replace that shit with some type of affection. So usually I just, you know, when kids come home, let them out. Let them fuck with the kids and shit for a couple hours. And that helped too with getting them ready for, you know, the next workout. Because the kids want to take him out and empty him out and all of that shit, and he be nice and warmed up. So yeah, just in the house, bro. Some people still keep him on the yard, but separate from everybody. I wasn't never a big fan of that. The few times I did it, the motherfuckers would seem like they was more turned up at night. So a leaf would blow by, and the dog that's usually chill on the chain be turned up just from working and releasing all those endorphins into his bloodstream and shit. So yeah, just bring him inside. That way he could preserve energy and fucking might not hurt himself in the middle of the night because he's still on the yard and he trying to get to something. Yeah, just bring him in the house. It's that easy, bro. Ain't no long drawn out explanation. Yeah, just bring his ass in the house.
Yes, indeed. Mr. Garcia, your take on that?
Yeah, the important thing is having somewhere where, like Ram was saying, that you don't want them running around. You got them on the chain, especially if they're around other dogs. They could be jumping around all night. You won't even know it. It's just uneasy, you know. I had a spot where there was nothing around. They couldn't see nothing, get nothing. You know, you want them quiet when it's time to rest. Even during the day, you want them resting. Excited, jumping around. You know, I didn't even fuck with them too much, especially the last week. I'd take them out, empty them out, put them up. They're quiet, you know. But it's important, like Ram said, you know, anything could fucking get them going. Hell, some people put them in bed they sleep with them, you know. And you have them in your room, you can monitor them, you know. You get them on a clock when to empty, you know, and that's important because, you know, I try to have them on time. When I take you out of the crate before work or before the show, you're going to empty, you know. And during like I said, the last week, I didn't fuck with them too much. Leave them alone. Because every time you fuck with them, they think you're going to do something with them. And it takes that peak away. It burns a little bit more energy, you know, but it's important, secluded, almost like Spartan atmosphere, you know. They're there to work, rest, go. And that's it. However you go about it, you know, and a lot of people, yeah, they bring them inside, they keep them in there. And you can monitor them that way, you know. They ain't gonna get a hold of them. They have to get used to the crate anyways, which they already should be used to it. All this shit we talk about, socializing and all that, you know, the dog should already know how to do that. Be accustomed to that. Know how to work. Whatever method you're using, they should know that from when they're young. That was something that always irked me in the past. These dog men get a 2-3-year-old dog up, they're gonna put them to keep. They don't know how to do shit. They got to teach them. They're already grown, you know. You can do that from when they're babies, man. You know, just a little bit, just whatever you're gonna use. If you use all kinds of shit, show them all kinds of shit, and you'll find out what they like best, what works best for you and them. They're good to go. It's just a natural order. When you put them in keep, they do the work. Simple, you know. But yeah, they need that seclusion. They need that to be on time for certain things. You know, it's all a program, and it's all mental. The physical part is part of it. The mental part is a bigger part of it for me, anyways. You know, and that's how I did it. Seclusion is good. You don't want them jumping around and all that, like Ram said. So that's what a lot of people do. Just as a matter of fact. They keep them. They have a separate room, or they keep them in their bedroom, whatever. Just don't smoke no weed around them. You know, you don't mind your dog high, but that's common.
Yes, indeed, brother Eli. What was your? How did you house the dog that was in keep?
I ain't no bullshit. I tried it both ways, and one thing happened to me one night. A fucking possum crawled up on the fence line, and the fucking dog was going crazy, I mean, trying to get this fucking possum. And the next day, my fucking workout was shit. He was secluded, but that possum came across that fence line, and it just fucking sent them into a rage and biting at the fucking above ground pen that he was in and everything. And then him doing that stirred the other dogs up that was way away from him. And I was like, no, that was it. I always had kept a dog inside, but our older dog man told me, well, if you keep him inside, the weathering of the coat that make it tougher and everything, it's gonna go away. It's gonna be soft and everything. But then once I started to actually read keeps, like the keep that was done on Chinaman and stuff, I was like, damn, well, a thinner coat actually keeps heat off, you know. So I was like, oh shit, okay. I started to learn different things. And once I did that with looking at Bob Fritz, he gave a whole scientific study of everything. And notice I said Bob Fritz, not actually Tom Garner, because that was the man that was behind the nutrition and behind the actual keep work of that. But I started to pull dogs in, and I had a bitch that used to sleep. She wouldn't move unless I moved. That's how tight our relationship with it was. My wife and them, they would have to step over her. They didn't. We was just going to a confirmation show as far as they knew. But me and her were so in tune. Me and that bitch were so locked in. She wouldn't move unless I moved. She'll sit in the doorway and lay right there, and everybody else in the house, they had to step over her. But me, when I moved, she moved. And I knew then, like, me and this bitch locked in. When I told her to work, it's time to work, she was excited. She was ready to go. So for me, having them in the house with you, just like schoolboy said, just like Ram said, and getting that socialization when the kids come out, yeah, they can play with them and everything, but you need to be tuned in, locked in with your dog. And everybody in the house, I'm gonna tell y'all one big thing. Everybody in the house need to know: don't give your dog shit unless you say it's okay, because that's the big thing that happens a lot of times. Kids when kids are around, they drop their food, the dog come clean it up. When the wife around, she drops something, the dog come clean it up. So hey, if you gonna have the dog in the house, you need to make sure you set the foundation. Hey, I'm going to the confirmation show. I'm going here. I'm doing some work. I don't want his weight off. Don't do this, cause that shit right there will happen. A box of cereal, whatever, the chicken from last night that hit the floor. Hey, they'll throw your fucking shit off.
Yes, sir. You know that's a good point. You know that champion bullshit. You know he was this way. You know you put him on a treadmill. You know Steve and them like to use a treadmill, and his teeth would chatter, man, just anticipating the work. You cut him loose, he'd fly. You bring him inside,
Bullshit. Hey,
he wouldn't eat out of the garbage. You could leave a plate of food out, he wouldn't touch the fucking food, man. And you know that's rare, you know, but it just tells you what these dogs are capable of. And he was a workaholic when it was time to work, and when it wasn't, he just fucking lay around. You know, he didn't do shit. I liked him a lot. Probably because I could have bought him for $250 after seeing him two dogs. He was 2.5 years old. I didn't have no money on me, and Steve Dunleavy bought him, and then he gave him to Hendrix later. You know?
hey, I had bullshit and alien stuff when I first got in the dogs. I had bullshit alien, the shows, what's that? Oh man,
From
dude,
Donnie,
the old Ferris.
from Donnie
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Showalter,
yeah.
or
Showalter and the Showalter and Ferris stuff with the old balls breaks shit. Yeah, I had that shit with the bullshit alien stuff. The old Oklahoma dogs.
Yeah, Joe Bill Woody had that stuff too.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he worked alien and bullshit for their first one. I think.
Yeah, the old sissy stuff and all that. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Well, y'all, this was a good show, real good cook today. I want to thank the panel and thank everybody for joining us this week, making this show another success. Salute to everybody in the super chats. Ram, why don't you go ahead and give us a disclosure? You're on mute, Ram.
What you say now? I was getting a call. Hey, Dirty, I'll call you after the show, bro.
Yeah, go ahead and give us a disclosure, bro.
Hey, man, as always, none of this shit is intended for, nor should it be used for any illegal purposes, man. And if you is using it for that, keep that shit to yourself, man. Don't tell on yourself or nobody else, especially me. I make a video of me fucking your mama raw and send it to your phone. Other than that, man, tomorrow is Monday. Scratch hard into the week. Whoop their ass. And if you got any questions that you really, really want answered, and for some reason, maybe you too broke or too cheap to send in a super chat or a cash app, fucking put it in the community post. We'll answer that shit, you know, but we not going to answer this shit because we on this one because we had questions from last week and this week from people who actually took the time to ask questions. Yes, other than that, man, shit, want your shit registered? Hit up Schoolboy. Make sure you know they breeding and pedigree and all that shit. Don't be trying to hang no papers on the dog just because you like the dog. If you don't know where it come from, just enjoy your dog, man.
Indeed. Mr. Garcia, any last words for the people?
Yeah, thanks for all the support. Appreciate the questions and everybody showing up. Much respect to 78, Ram, and Mr. Eli. Good stuff tonight, man. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot too from these gentlemen here. So salute to everybody. We'll see you soon.
Yes, indeed. Eli, give us your last words, brother.
Man, as always, man, appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate being able to have these conversations with y'all. It's the most I get out of dogs, and I love and appreciate the dogs. My life a whole lot different now. But hey, y'all keep the questions coming, keep the support coming. We appreciate y'all. Salute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Salute to y'all. Thank y'all very much for joining us. And, you know, we'll be back next week. What's this, Sunday? So we'll be back on, I'm just going to say next Sunday just so I don't have to fucking cancel this shit. Next Sunday, we'll be back.
Yeah, we'll just go back to Friday when the NFL pick back up because fucking church can't even go against them niggas.
Right. We'll go back to Friday when the NFL start up or some shit, like Ram say. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for joining us. Salute to y'all, man. Peace. We'll be back
Peace.
next week.